Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. This is episode 9.
And it's me, Carrick, with ACG.
And it's FightinCowboy coming in as the guest today.
Hell yeah. Welcome, Cowboy.
Welcome.
Happy to have you here.
Excited to be here. Excited.
I warned everyone in advance. I said, if they want a heads up on what's going to be the most foul-mouthed episode of all time, it's going to be this one.
It's this one? I mean, I don't know. After the last ham radio, I don't know if I could compete with some of the stuff Carrick had coming out.
I wasn't even there. That was you two. I wasn't even at that podcast. I have no clue. I have no clue what you're talking about. Yeah, that was a good time. It was a good time.
That was a good one, man. So just prepare yourselves. I'm sure something crazy will come out of this one. But anyway, for those of you who are new here, welcome. We hope you're doing well. As I said, this is an Xbox and PC show. If you want early access to that, you want to support us, go the extra mile, submit your questions, all that stuff. You can find us over on patreon.com/laststandmedia, where our show will go available on Thursdays. By the way, expect a lot of stuttering, slurring. I am fucking exhausted today.
I can tell, even when prior to starting, I was like, Maddie sounds a little off. I stuttered through our last one, though, so...
Counting down took it out of him.
I really did. Yeah, we were fucking up our countdowns. I mean, I don't know what it was, man. Just like today, I woke up and I got my 8 hours, and I was like, "What the hell happened, man?" Like, I got too much sleep. I think. Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Or woke up on the wrong cycle
5,
hour.
6.
Yeah, exactly. You like wake up right in the middle of your alpha cycle or whatever, and it's just all downhill from there.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, anyway, free feeds, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and plenty more are on Sunday, as well as our video version, which is on the Last Stand Media YouTube channel. But for those of you who are patrons, Defining Duke Ultimate Episode 5 just went live, where we talked about the future of BioWare between Anthem, Dragon Age 4, and all of those changes there. So that's available for all of you. It's probably my favorite one we've done yet. It had like a really good structure, and we had great questions and write-ins from all of you. So thank you to those of you who participated. Lastly, continue those mobile ratings. We are pushing 350 now, which is great. We just surpassed 200 a month ago. So if we're at this rate, we will hit that 1,000 by the end of the year. That's the goal. So appreciate those of you taking that extra step. Lots of extra promotion here, man. All right, this is the last one. Last Day Media merch. It's available. You can get yourself a Defining Duke shirt. I ordered one for myself, and we're going to be wearing that at some point down the line on this show. But otherwise, enough about that. Cowboy, you're our guest. What have you been working on? What have you been up to? For those who don't know you, like, who the hell are you? All that good stuff.
I am I guess mainly a Let's Play / walkthrough type guy. If I had to describe my niche, it's very in-depth walkthroughs. In an age where everything is a gameplay walkthrough, I try to make an actual walkthrough, like, old school Prima Guide style. So I guess that's kind of what I'm known for, specifically in the Souls category of things. But lately, man, it has been, it's honestly just kind of the slow season for me. We got Monster Hunter Rise coming up. I'm very excited for that. Outriders looks like it'll be fun to mess with, but we're just, right now at least, it's been just kind of slow. I know everyone's been going hard on Valheim, but I don't know. Something about it, I just can't click with it.
Yeah.
So I have been, I've actually been playing Divinity Original Sin 2. I've never beat it. I already had like 70 hours into the game out of multiple attempts, and I was like, all right, this curse breaks now. So I've been putting like 30-40 hours a week into it consistently to try and finish it up.
Because like I feel like Divinity Original Sin 2 is a game you don't even have to beat. Like once you finish the Reaper's Coast, it's like you beat the game. Like
no, yeah,
that's the best part.
I've always described it as the best game I've never finished.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And I think one of the big factors, I found a mod that lets you completely skip Act 1.
Oh,
just
Fort
all
Joy.
of it. Yep, you skip all of Fort Joy.
I need that in my life.
You start on Act 2, getting off the boat. You're level 10. You got some starter gear, and I was like, all right, I can work with this.
Yeah, I think that's the part that kills a lot of people going back to it, because it's not as diverging as the rest of the game. Yeah. So That's awesome. Yeah, I missed that game. I was looking at getting it physically on Switch. I'm like, oh, I don't own it on Switch. It's
Well,
120 bucks.
It is fun on Switch. The graphics are, expected. But if you're gonna get it Switch, I would suggest getting it digital, just because so with the Switch, this is an interesting little thing. I'm not gonna dive too deep because I know it's like an Xbox PC thing, but
no, you can dive
your load times, cartridge is the slowest, then SD, then internal memory on Switch. So whatever your biggest Switch title is at the time, if it's like, Divinity and you're playing it a bunch, put it on the internal hardware for the Switch and it'll load a couple, not a ton, but you might save like 5 seconds per load screen compared to cartridge. So
okay, I actually didn't know that.
In a 100-hour RPG, that time adds up.
I was gonna say it really does. That's navigating your menu, putting on new equipment. It adds up. All right, before we get into anything else, Carrick, what about you, man?
I guess I would say the same thing. It's been sort of slow. It's been much slower for me. People who don't, they probably watch the reviews and stuff. You've seen me drop FightinCowboy's channel a couple times because he does have the best walkthroughs. And it is funny that he was on Twitch floundering away for the longest fucking time and was like, I'm going to go, not floundering, but the success there is difficult depending on what you make. And a lot of people ask, should I start a YouTube channel? And one of the things I have to say is, he had some audience between the two, but I think it does show that specific things on YouTube can do really well if you just continue pumping it out. Because I'll look and every morning it's like 2 videos, one at night, one in the morning, and I'll be like, that's how you do well on YouTube is the consistency. Something that like a reviewer it's more difficult to do, but something as that kind of stuff, I'm really envious of it, and it's awesome to see that kind of success on YouTube because I think a lot of people feel that there's just there's no ability to see success. So congratulations to you on that. It's very cool to see. I remember when seeing you be like, I think I'm moving, guys, and blah, blah, blah. And everybody was sort of waiting to see what happened. And it's been gangbusters technically, but it's been slow for me as well, really slow. I think I gained like 1,000 subs. Of course, I didn't do any videos, but that's par for the course. I've done some random crazy stuff. It's actually a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. I hired some people to help me, not continually, but behind the scenes to just make sure that my steps for recording videos made a lot of sense and I wasn't wasting time on some stuff. And I'm just waiting for something big, something fun, something to dive into that I really enjoy. I am playing No Man's Sky like a motherfucker. I will say that.
Are you going to be diving into Monster Hunter, or is that not your wheelhouse?
I would definitely dive into any of those games. There's almost no game that's not like Hero or Loop Hero I didn't think I'd like, and that game is like one of my favorite indie games of this year. It might be my favorite indie game of the last 2 years. So I'll dive into anything, for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely be into that.
There's plenty coming up in the review wheelhouse, so I'm sure you'll be.
Yeah,
well, we'll all be bogged down.
But it's nice to sort of. Right now. We do have a
there's
big now.
RPGs for Maddie. I got Monster Hunter and Carrick. She's just gonna get slapped in the face.
I'll just do everything.
With 5 review.
Like, let's just do it.
Yeah, right. I always catch myself like going, it's so slow, man. And now I've done it long enough where I stop bitching because I
just let it happen.
When I get because when you get hit by like 8 different codes, then you get overwhelmed and it's on the other end. You're like,
what actually kind of saved it for me. I started up a series for Immortals Phoenix Rising, of all things. I completely skipped the game back in December.
Incredible.
February was the perfect month for that game because there was, February, we had the blockbuster Werewolf Apocalypse Earthblood. That blew me away. We had Blue Fire crashing. I had 3 crash to desktops within 2 hours of playing. And I was like, I need something. And then Phoenix just like floated on down. And it was the perfect time waster. I chucked in like 70 hours just exploring and beating stuff. It was, worked out so well.
That game, that's interesting, 70 hours. Because usually I hear how compact it is where you can just play like 30 and walk away. Yeah, I played 10 and I just...
Well, you can, but there's a lot there if you... there's a lot to unlock and there's a new DLC that just came out.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I remember when the sales charts came out and it had actually like surpassed Cyberpunk a month after launch, which was kind of crazy to actually think about. When everyone was saying how bad that Immortals was doing, but I guess it's doing some type of numbers, especially if they're getting DLC.
It was. I think the thing is, it's just a good like relax game. Yeah. Like I didn't go into it with much expectation. But whereas, like, I think, and this is actually coming up in the discussion, but, someone mentioned how Assassin's Creed kind of floundered with its pacing. I feel like the pacing isn't as much of an issue with something like Phoenix, because like, yeah, there's the quest, but I don't care about the quest. I'm here to like solve all these freaking puzzles and go all over the pace. So you never really get hit with the same pacing issues that you do in Assassin's Creed, which is why I think I was fine playing that for so long. Whereas Valhalla, I mean, I dropped Valhalla, I think 15 hours in. I was just like, okay, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because Douglas Wash wrote in and said, or Nash, geez, here we go. The reading errors continue.
Bro.
I completely butchered
It's okay.
that.
It's okay. It's going to happen.
It's going to be a whole show of this. Let's go. Hey, Duke boys. At the end of your last episode, you guys started talking about how the game reviewers complain about the bloat in AC Odyssey, but you guys did not understand why. When one of you mentioned it was a pacing issue, I think that was me, which I 100% agree. I find that the last two AC games are paced in such a way that make you really feel their length. I have zero problem playing The Witcher 3 plus DLC, Persona 5, or back in the day replaying Mass Effect 1 through 3 back to back, which all have runtimes of hundreds of hours. Yet somehow, when I got to the halfway mark of either of the last two AC games, I just felt like I was done with the games and have yet to beat either of them. So just a continuation of our conversation last week. It seems like a lot of people left comments about it like this. A lot of people were saying...
I will say that no one I talked to said there was anything to do with pacing. Everybody I talked to was talking about the level itself. They were like doing math and figuring out levels and saying, this is taking too long for me to get to this level. I don't think that has to do with pacing. I think it may have a pacing issue as well. But at least for me, I would say I disagree. I don't think anything about Odyssey had a pacing issue, especially not compared to Valhalla, which I do think has a pacing issue.
Yeah.
But I get the thought process. Admittedly, if you just said we didn't get it, apparently one of us did because Maddie stated pacing. So,
yeah,
I think you did. I think
stated,
you actually legitimately brought it up.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I did, and I don't know if it was in regards to Odyssey. I think
Odyssey doesn't feel too bad, but Valhalla, I think part of the problem with Valhalla is you have so many, each of your zones, it's like its own little mini standalone
world
storyline. Yeah, and like the overarching story just like drags its ass out over, like you get just a little tiny bit every time you finish one of these zones, and each zone takes 2 to 3 hours. So it's like by the time you're finally seeing like main story progress, it's been like 15 hours. And you're like, didn't you like go up north already to fight a war or something? Y'all are still at the table here waiting for me?
I think we saw that with Skyrim, right? We saw it with Dragon Age Inquisition 2, where the games, so Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 do not do this. In fact, if you skip out on a mission, it'll time out and it'll be like, this person died. You didn't help them in time. Yeah. And I think what happens with Valhalla and Odyssey is they say, hurry up and don't worry about it. And you're like, wait, should I hurry up or should I not worry about it? And they're like, no, it's a big deal, but it's not. Like, so a building to be on fire, and it's always on fire for 6 months. And a lot of games do that, but the longer they get and the bigger they get, the more you notice it.
Yeah.
Second write-in before we get to our warm-up questions. Johnny Evans says, hey, fellas, just wanted to write in thanking Carrick for mentioning Moonlight last week. I tried Steam Link in the past and wasn't impressed. Moonlight was game-changing because of the lack of latency and visual quality. I recently got the Backbone 1 controller for iPhone, and it's the perfect combination. Playing The Witcher 3 in full quality in bed is an awesome experience. Thanks again, man, Johnny.
Yeah.
Just want to let you know, Carrick. I got through to
that's
someone.
Awesome, man. I got through to one person. My job is done here.
Yeah, I was about to say, dude. You can just do whatever you want at this point.
Yeah, now I'm done, man. I need to get a sponsorship for one version of Moonlight. I need to get like $3 paid for it, and that'll be it. That'll be my sponsorship.
I wonder who I imagine one day we'll get a sponsor. I wonder who that first sponsor will be. I really do.
Energy
God
drink.
Given this is an Xbox podcast, ideally you'd hope it's like a Microsoft first-party studio or something coming out.
Or an energy drink, Xbox energy drink tastes like the paint that chips off the Xbox during a bad paint job.
That reminds me. You guys remember when? Did you guys get the Cyberpunk energy drinks that they sent like, before the game's launched?
I did.
Did you ever look at the nutrition packs for those? I literally thought I would die if I took a sip of one of those.
No.
Between the sugar and caffeine, it was the most insane shit I've ever seen in my life.
You mean just like Jolt Cola, the old Jolt Cola kind level, or because that shit was killed kids.
Yeah, I literally think if I took it, my body would have exploded.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
I just would have been left with a head, and that's it.
Yeah, right. Like Scanners, the old 1980s movie.
Yeah, it was something else, man. I would have been off the walls. All right, let's get into some of our warm-up questions. We'll get this conversation started for real now. Eric Clyde is our first write-in. What's up, fellas? Loving the show so far. Thank you. My question has to do with quick resume. I absolutely love it when it works and games have it, but I'm now frustrated when a game doesn't support it. Dirt 5 is a great example. It does not support quick resume. I love playing a quick race and then jumping back out to a show I'm watching. Jumping back without quick resume is so tedious. What's the deal with some games not supporting it? Is it hard for a developer to implement it? I guess I don't understand the back end of how quick resume works, and hoping you can enlighten me. Thanks. So I did some digging on this, and this was really the only thing I could find, is that Jason Ronald, who's at Xbox, said on the Major Nelson podcast that quick resume is still a big priority. This is just the beginning. They got a lot of really exciting things coming down the pipeline in the coming months and in the next coming years. They're also partnering closely with key game developers across all the industry to take full advantage of the next-gen capabilities that they've put into the Series X and S, and they are very excited to get further into the year and towards the holiday to start sharing more details on what's in development and how you can really take advantage of these next-gen platforms. So outside of that, it's really just said that some games don't have quick resume yet. That's all I could really find.
So with quick resume,
it just has it how it's loaded into the game. Maybe?
Yeah. So quick resume copies all of the data into the available RAM that Microsoft has set aside, which is why Sony could do this. They just have to set aside OS RAM, which they probably won't randomly do that. But the developers I've talked to, they took some off, by the way, too. Prior to the Xbox going live, they had some games that were using quick resume, and then we're like, uh-oh, we have some bugs. And that's because some games just do not handle sitting for a long period of time. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go play Bloodborne unpatched.
Yeah.
Oh, you dude, fist bump.
Yeah,
that was awesome timing.
I remember that shit. Yeah.
Dude, so what happens is there can be issues with memory, the integers, the way things, the registers in the memory, and the way it all works. And so when they decide that it's just not feasible, or there might be a save game corruption or something like that, they pull it out. I will say I love how quickly we've all become accustomed to something. It's like, I can't believe Dirt 5 doesn't have quick resume. It's absolutely terrible. And I get the feeling.
Of it, man.
I understand. And remember, I hated quick resume. Thought it was stupid. When Microsoft was talking about it, I was like, you're dumb. That's the dumbest idea. And then once I did it a couple times, I'm like, not really too dumb. Not really too dumb. It's actually pretty cool. So
yeah, I'm guilty of that too. When I started playing Three Houses and I finished my playthrough, I was like crying like a baby whenever I had to sit in a load screen again.
I know.
When I was looking at the graphics, as a guy who doesn't give a shit about graphics, I was looking at that game going, my eyes, man, this looks terrible.
Oh, dude, that's so bad to hear you say. I don't even like hearing you say that, words like that, man. That's bad.
Yeah, it is bad. So I made sure to respect the game, but I mean, at the same time, I'm looking at my Switch now. Ugh, like,
wow.
What? Really,
That's
yeah, man. It's tough for me to pull out my Switch now. Because, like, for example, Dragon Quest Builders 2. I'm a big Dragon Quest Builders 2 guy, for those who don't know. And, like, the load times in that game, it takes 5 minutes to get in game. And I have it on my Switch, man. That was the go-to. Now it's not. It's just, give me my Switch Pro, man. Anyway, I've slandered enough. Matt Borges is our next write-in. Howdy, gamers. On Twitter this week... oh, no, wait, the slander's not over. On Twitter this week, Matty posted about finishing Sonic Unleashed and said, quote, he wouldn't wish it on his worst enemy, end quote. This was confusing because it seemed like he was having fun with the game last time it was mentioned on the show. What specifically threw Matty off the game? Tedious Sun and Moon Metal Collection or Werehog fatigue? Just curious because recent Sonic discourse has pushed Unleashed as one of the better modern Sonic games. Thanks, boys. By the way, Eggman does suck. Eggman Land does suck as a final level, though. All right, have any of you guys played this game?
I don't think so, man. If I do, I don't remember it.
All right, so I gotta just stand on my own here. So yeah, I was having fun with this game. First half of this game, not bad. It's taught me a valuable lesson to, I will speak when it is done. And, like I often do. But this time I spoke early. It's a back compact game. It's probably safe. There's going to be some age there. It's from 2008. It looks really good. I heard some great things to the Series X, grapevine. People were saying, hey, it runs well now because it really struggled on old hardware. Took like 3 generations to get this bad boy going. I'm thinking, all right, everything's in this game's favor. Dude, holy fuck. The last half of this game, I wanted to jump out my window. The Sonic controls like a fucking slip and slide. I got to say, also, the last level, the amount of what will happen is this game has this telltale sign where they'll give you extra lives. And when they start giving you extra lives before a checkpoint, you go, oh no. Because you know that they're going to kill you like 80 times. Because the camera's awful. So you're trying to 3D platform through this horrific section of magma and pipes, and Sonic doesn't walk on pipes, man. It's terrible. Like, the amount of times you'll die and just not understand what's happening, and the camera will fuck up or I'll fall through the map. I don't know where Sonic fans get their quality standards, but it's not here, man. This is not one of the best games. Just go play Generations, but this game, man.
It's cool you mentioned that, because I had started back getting my Reddit running, because I'd sort of let it sit and not done much in my Reddit. And so recently I've been pumping it, and somebody came in there and they were like, has there ever a game that you've played that you disagreed with Carrick, but as you continued to play, you realized the reviewer had played longer, and thus like their reaction was probably more apt? And it was crazy to see how many people were like, wow, now I get it. Like 2 hours is one thing, 3, 4 maybe, but once you get into 6 or 7 of the same stuff and things start falling apart, it's so easy to front load a game these days. It is so easy. And I think maybe some of those fans of it, maybe they only played the first couple hours, you know, maybe they didn't get to that shit ass ending. And you see that in a movie. When you get a crappy ending in a movie, what happens? You have people fucking running out of the theater. They're like, what? Neo, what? What's going on in Matrix? What? Even though, admittedly, Matrix like 2 and 3 sucked all the way through. But you get my drift. There's like endings to these movies that people freak out about. And games, it just takes longer to get to. It's 8 hours minimum usually. And I think a lot of people don't get to them.
Dude, just... It's
don't
not
get
even
to
like,
this one is what Maddie's
level.
saying. Maddie's saying don't get to the ending.
last level. Just in a game about speed, when you gotta, you know how Sonic typically you'll hold the triggers to kind of burn around a corner. Dude, imagine if Sonic was just on like a slick oil field anytime you did that, and you just flew off the map every time.
It doesn't even sound enjoyable.
It doesn't make sense for like, because they got it right in Generations, but in Unleashed, it's not good, man. So I played Sonic games slow at times, and that's not at all how it's supposed to be.
I'm a huge Sonic fan too. Massive.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Generations is the play, man. That's the one I'm probably gonna go to.
I played the BioWare one. Did you ever play that one?
Turn-based? The RPG?
Oh, what was that called? Sonic Blast? Was that Sonic Blast?
Sonic and the Dark Chronicles. Something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I reviewed it last year.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and man, was it not good as well.
Yeah, no, it's not a good game. Why do you take a guy whose character is known for sprinting around and then slow him down? It just didn't make any sense.
It's just the music in that game is a special type of
shit.
Terrible. Oh man, I've had farts that sound better, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's a big claim.
That is a big
Dude, go listen.
claim.
I challenge the audience to listen.
No.
Yeah. Well,
no.
Dude,
just no.
Really?
No.
We're not bros?
No, we're not. By the way, that is one thing I do not, as a bro, that is one thing I'm not all for, man. No.
Yo, bro, come listen.
No,
Put your ear
dude.
next to my ass,
one of my
bro.
friends
Hear
was
this.
telling me this one. He was telling me that him and his brother would, fart in their car and roll up the windows, try to stink each other out. And I'm like, dude, I would literally, I would unhook the fucking seat and throw you out at full speed if you did that in my car, man. Like, it would be homicide.
You're definitely the type of guy who, like, when someone farts in your house, you get pissed. Like, you
oh,
don't
I
like
do.
that shit.
Oh yeah, man. I'm like, go to the door, bitch. Like, I don't like that, man. I don't want to smell your fecal spatter flitting around my room. You smell what, and you taste what you fucking smell too. That's disgusting. No, sorry. We could go on, and we shouldn't.
I feel like Carrick caught like a faint taste of ass during a Mountain Dew sip from someone.
I don't know. Maybe it was my own, because I'm also not the person who farts and then sits in their own fart.
You could never go back after that.
Scarred for life.
So you're saying you just dodge roll out there?
I just, yeah. And if it's another person, I'm just tossing them out the fucking window full speed, man. I can deadlift pretty well.
Oh,
Just fucking...
That's so funny, man. All right, back on track. sfish616 has an actual write-in that'll put us into games here. Hey guys, with the recent trend of companies in the industry of being either bought outright or invested in by Chinese companies, what do you think is better? On one hand, you have smaller developers who stay more independent but are partially owned by Chinese companies, like how Tencent owns part of Fat Shark, Jaeger, or Platinum Games. On the other hand, you have studios that are bought outright by more Western companies, such as Bethesda, Gearbox, Codemasters, etc. What do you think is better? Thanks for the great show. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you. Yeah, this one gave me pause, right? Are you winning either way, truly?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. The way I look at Tencent investing in companies, I look at it the same way that like I invest in stocks. You know, it's something that you want to stake in because you see success in it. Whereas I feel the acquisitions in particular, that's more competitive nature. You know, you're acquiring companies to not only boost yourself, but to in most cases remove them from your competition. So, I mean, you could argue that you know, competition is going to breed quality because we're going to see more exclusives. So I mean, if you're somebody that owns all the consoles, I think it doesn't matter because you're going to win no matter what. But if you are a single console type person, you know, you only have Xbox, you only have PlayStation, you know, you could win or lose either way here. You might get some dope exclusives, but you know, if there's a company you like and they're acquired by the producer of the console you don't have, you know, you're shit out of luck.
What about you, Carrick? Where do you stand on this?
I think I'm tired of people getting pissy about success. Like I do not like it, but I'm not going to say a Chinese company is worse than an American company or an American company is worse than a Chinese company because we've seen failure from both and success from both. I think that, like Cowboy said, it's investment, and you see success, and you're like, this is success. I will talk about it in podcasts with you guys. It'll never come into my game, though. Like a game review, it would never matter. Like the game review is what you get, right? What are you going to get for your $60? I will say that dude, if I do well enough that somebody wants to come and buy me, at some point, we live in a world where we want to celebrate success and tear you the fuck down the moment you succeed. So it's like, boom, you're doing awesome. And somebody's like, I want to pay you for being awesome. And you're like, it's the American dream. And like, no, bitch, we're going to turn it into the American nightmare now. We hate you. And that's America. That's not just America, I should say. That's pretty much most Western companies are like that. What I don't like is that Chinese companies, because I do study international politics, international business, Chinese companies do not have any legal rules or regulations if they defraud American people. We do. So if an American company goes to China and does something, China can report it. American company can get sued or whatever. But if a Chinese company, and this is actually, there's Netflix documentaries, there's studies on this. If Chinese company comes in and does a bunch of shit, it's only if it actually affects China that they would be broached as something illegal. That's what I feel is unfair, because that's not even a safe proposition in so to me, Tencent and the stuff I've seen and that kind of stuff, it's not necessarily that I have an issue with where they're from or anything like that. It's that their actual business rules are different than everyone else's. And it gives them not only an unfair advantage, but an advantage that almost makes you want to cheat if you were that company. Because you can. And as the saying goes among IT people, if you're not white hatting, you're black hatting. That's honestly pretty much how it works when it comes to companies as well. So
yeah, I just feel like game development is such a risky business that you're seeing these companies that are established behemoths like a Microsoft or an Epic say, we'll give you millions of dollars to either put your game exclusive on our platform, or we'll give you millions of dollars to join us. Like we just saw Epic buy Mediatonic, who made Fall Guys. And I mean, for them, man, they probably made cash hand over fist between PS Plus being a game of the month for them, and then all the microtransactions, the craze of it, and then they get bought out by Epic. I mean, at what point, you know, do you want to say we want to create? It's a creative driven field, right? And I think there is a degree of being able to maintain that is not worrying essentially about a lot of your finances, you know, driving decisions on how to monetize something versus just existing
doing
and making something, right? Yeah. And so I think that's why we're seeing a lot of companies embrace being bought out. I mean, I think the Bethesda acquisition is sort of the first piece to fall, and that's why you saw Gearbox and you saw Codemasters. You're seeing people kind of go out and get after them, because now people are saying, well, if you're going to give Bethesda $7 million, I mean, what about us, right? Or $7 billion, sorry. And it's like, I look at that and think, you know,
that's just going to crash so hard. That's Bitcoin level of bloat. You know, somebody's going to overpay. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to take long before people see the valuation is all screwed up on companies.
But then you got Sony, who literally stole from Insomniac.
Yeah,
like,
what was it?
250
million? Yeah. Well,
something cheap as
you know,
shit compared
admittedly,
to those.
they may have done a deal behind the scenes too with Spider-Man and Insomniac, where Insomniac gets a Spider-Man cut, because Spider-Man is now, there's parts of Spider-Man that are Sony. So, because even I was wrong about that, but
possible.
there is something weird going on with Sony and Spider-Man in particular, where they actually have a bit of control of some things. So maybe there's a, back end thing there for them.
Yeah. We'll see. But anyway, great question, S. Fish.
Good
Thank
question.
you for writing in. Tyler Mitchell is our next write-in. Hi, boys. With all the talk of Microsoft buying up developers, I always see one that gets skipped over. Bloober Team. They have now released 2 games at launch on Game Pass, Blair Witch and The Medium, and both received a fair amount of support from Microsoft, almost as if they were first-party games. So why is everyone sleeping on this? It feels very obvious to me, as there is now a history between the two, and Bloober Team games kind of fit perfectly into the Game Pass ideology, mid-tier games that might otherwise be overlooked by the general public. So what say you? Am I completely off base here? I feel like he
you're
almost
off base.
answered. Yeah, I feel like he almost answered himself, if I'm interpreting it right, which is like, because they are mid-tier games that go on Game Pass and benefit from Game Pass, you don't want to fucking buy them. You just want them to bolster that library.
Yeah, to make them without putting money down.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
get along
look
with
at their lineup, personally speaking, I don't think I've enjoyed any of the Bloober Team games.
I would agree. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
They're good for like the first hour, and then they just, like, if a game could drag ass, those games drag ass. They just, come on, get to the finish line, like tugging it by its arm. I wouldn't want to buy the studio. If they want their stuff on Game Pass, yeah, sure. Take, hey, we're going to give you 50-50 for your game. And there you go. It's in Game Pass.
Yeah.
But paying money? No.
Yeah, I've always wondered what Microsoft pays to get games on Game Pass, because my friends and I were looking at each one. I've usually sift through the library, but last night we were looking at each one and reading some of them and watching reviews, and there's some out there that are, I don't want to, like, trash games, but I mean, there are some real no-names on there that have no reviews, and the reviews that are there are really not good, and I'm thinking, like, what does Microsoft pay for something like that? They're like, here, a couple thousand.
No, there's 3 ways. Sorry, go ahead, Cowboy.
I was going to say, I would imagine it's probably a percentage base, similar to how, because Steam takes, 30%?
Yeah.
Or something. So I think it would be like, they put it on there and Xbox pays them. Like, every time someone downloads your game, you get, you have $1 or $2 or some shit like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say. There's multiple ways I know of 3 different ways they get paid. There's probably more, but I would assume one of them is where it's no cost to Microsoft, really. It's just like the only cost is if somebody downloads your game.
Interesting. Yeah, that could be it. That would make a lot more sense.
Have you ever used itch.io? Either one of you?
I've looked into it.
Okay, so
I was looking at it for RPG Maker plugins.
There you go. That's it. Yeah, so itch.io is Dungeon and Dragons, all kinds of stuff, games. But one of the cool things about itch.io is they have a thing on the side, basically a community service, which if you don't have the money, people can buy a copy and then also say, hey, you know what? I'll give you an extra $5 and there'll be this community copy available for the next person. You can come in and say, are there any community copies left? I'm assuming a lot of what goes on with Game Pass, dude, is that the money buffers up and that some of it gets fed back into game. And then they know their finances, obviously, and they can sort of pick and choose and say, we'll take this game, even though it doesn't have great whatever, but we'll take it. We'll see how it does. We'll see how they do. Because there also are some pretty big hidden successes for Game Pass in particular, where somebody will be like, dude, our game wasn't selling. They put it on Game Pass and we've sold like 15,000 copies. Now we can make a sequel. And they'll remember Microsoft. And they'll be like, maybe we should go with them next time. It sort of pays.
Right on. Last intro question. We'll get into the news after this. John Garlett writes in, hey guys, hope you're all doing swell. With the new Gears 5 operation dropping today, I thought I would look for their subreddit to see if there were any additional tips I should read for playing online only to find a swarm of negative posts/comments around the recent entries of this franchise and how the coalition has handled Gears. My question is, have you ever had a game or series you loved only to find out when you had a discussion with others via the internet or in person to find out there is a negative reaction, a decent one at that, which differed from your own experience?
This is kind of funny because when Cyberpunk came out, obviously very polarizing title.
Yeah.
The official Cyberpunk subreddit was so just vitriol about the game that there was an entirely new subreddit created called No Sodium Cyberpunk.
Yeah, no sodium salt Cyberpunk.
Which is like, I mean, for a while it was like 90% just booty pictures of the characters, but it was, I mean, it was a place for people that wanted to celebrate the game, because so many people were angry at it that the official, and it was crazy because, you know, leading up to launch, people are like, oh my God, this is great. This is going to be so good. You know, there was that one 7 out of 10 GameStop review, and they were like, "Oh, crucify her, she doesn't know." And then all of a sudden, it was like, "Actually, guys, it's kind of fucking buggy." And it was an instant 180. The entire,
I felt so bad for
the
her.
entire subreddit just started bashing the shit out of the game, to the point where, like, if you came in and you were like, "Yeah, you know, it's buggy, but I'm kind of enjoying it," people were like, "Fuck you, you should die." You're like, whoa, what?
Doesn't that remind you of when you review a game? And somebody's like, "Oh, I can't believe you like this game," or the opposite, and you can't win no matter what.
That was me with Immortals when I said, like, yeah, I literally openly said in the first like 30 seconds, yeah, I know people are gonna like this. I'm the outlier. There are gonna be people who dig this. Here's why I don't. And there were people who were like, "I don't get Maddie's taste. He likes JRPGs, but he doesn't like Immortals." I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything, man?
That's a stretch. That's like, that makes no sense.
And then someone under that thread, I put it in a video, someone under that thread was like, "Yeah, he's a Bethesda shill." I'm like, dude, can someone make sense here? Because I'm not getting it.
So, yeah, oh yeah, dude, I've been called a Ubisoft hater, Ubisoft shill in the same, like, Reddit. But what is interesting to me is, and when he talks about, you know, I find this on the internet. Well, you can find, the internet is the mines of Moria, man. Once you go in, you you're stuck forever. There's just cave trolls. That's all there is. There's no anything good in the internet but what you take. That's the only way that you can succeed on the internet. So I tell people, yeah, I've gone to a Reddit and seen people dislike a game or like a game, and I'm like, how the fuck can you like this game? But you can only shit in somebody's breakfast so many times. And my personal opinion is, you know, if you dislike it and other people like it, maybe post once or twice, but after a while, you just sort of have to be like, all right. And that's maturity, I think, in playing a lot of games. I think once people have more experience, they sort of get that way. But dude, seeing bad people on the internet liking something or disliking something you like is the internet. You're literally opening a filter to get everybody's opinion. So it's going to happen.
For me, I think Wolfenstein 2 is, weirdly enough, the one game that sticks
Youngblood?
with me. Is that? No, the second one, New Colossus or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
When I played that, I was in my own bubble. I didn't watch any reviews or anything. I beat it after launch. I was like, I like this so much. I want to make a video review about it. And there were so many people who were just going, man, this game is terrible compared to the first one. It's so much shorter. There's so many cutscenes. I was there sitting like praising the story. It was like a whole other, it was a complete shock when I read my comments. I was like, damn, people really don't like this game. A lot of people did. A lot of people were happy I was positive on the game. But I was actually completely caught off guard. I had no idea. It was one of those games you beat and went, there's no way people are going to have a big problem with this.
I felt that way with Medium.
A good game.
I was shocked anybody gave Medium anything above a 4. Like, I was, and still into this.
Did they get a 9?
Dude, somebody rated that above Prey. I think it was IGN, but it could be a different reviewer. So you do have to take that into account. And they may have just liked it, but it didn't matter. I was seeing those scores going, what the fuck? What? There's one thing you can do in each room. What are you it's a mobile game. It was so weird.
I'm right there with you. I got
weird.
3 episodes of a Let's Play done and was like, I can't continue this. Like, this game is
It was a hard game to beat for the review. It was legitimately boring.
It's like 8 hours long.
Yeah,
not
but like
to diss on him. It was just weird.
That's the Bloober Team thing. Like, it's like a child kicking and screaming, and you're like, get to the end of the game, and it's like, no, I don't want to go yet. I want to drag my ass more through this exposition.
Yeah, they just need to start doing like literally story games with choices.
Or do 2 hour
ones.
ones.
Life is Strange does.
Yeah, Life is Strange.
Yeah, it's just something like that, because they clearly have. I thought the idea of the universe for Medium was neat, but it did not need to be. It was a short game, and it didn't need to be as long as it was. That's a problem.
Well, it doesn't help that your character's run button, you go from a slow walk to a slightly faster jog.
Yeah.
Let me go fast, please. Anyway.
All right, time for the news. Oh, are we ready? Number 1. Announced on Microsoft's stage at E3 2019, fans have been eagerly awaiting more news on From Software's newest IP, Elden Ring. Unfortunately for the team and its publisher, Namco Bandai, an internal gameplay trailer reportedly a year old has surfaced on the web. The trailer shows off familiar Souls melee combat, but also open areas, horseback combat, giant dragons breathing fire, and some pretty nifty looking bosses. When it rains, it pours, however, as Bandai Namco Next has also leaked thanks to a trademark filing discovered by fans. The trademark has been approved and applies to, quote, amusement parks, esports competitions, movies, toys, plays, musical performances, radio programs, computer networks,
Jeez,
online
everything.
publications, animated feature films and games, and it also mentioned the publication of information. So this could serve as a platform to not only reveal Elden Ring again, but also the delayed Tales of Arise, show off more of Scarlet Nexus, their annual Dragon Ball game, Digimon Survive, and much more. Now, more reports from industry journalists have stated that Elden Ring's development was significantly hampered by COVID and work-from-home conditions, as many games have, we've seen. One source in particular, of VGC, stated that 2022 is definitely the year, and there isn't much of a chance that it squeezes out in 2021. Director Hidetaka Miyazaki had this to say when the game was unveiled years ago, and I'm putting this in here because some people literally kept saying, it looks like Souls, quote, with a larger world, new systems, and action mechanics inevitably becomes necessary. In that sense, I think Elden Ring is more of a natural evolution of Dark Souls, end quote. Alex Bolton's our only write-in for this topic. Best Souls game, question mark, FromSoft made or not, doesn't matter. Now, the reason, Alex, I was going to leave you out of this, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be very direct with you. I was going to leave your comment out, but we got to fix you here. You said objectively best game is Dark Souls 3, in my opinion.
Let me speak about it or note about it in incredible detail. Those do not exist. You cannot have both of those at the same time.
So we'll answer that later, Alex. But for now, you're asking what our best Souls game is. We'll talk about that afterwards. But Cowboy, you picked the perfect week to come on. You do a lot of FromSoft walkthroughs. That's like your bread and butter, man. And here we are talking Elden Ring. So
Elden Ring.
yeah, where do you sit on this game anyway? Like,
Where do I sit?
Yeah, I mean, are you hyped?
So I am tentatively hyped. I have a strict no hype policy until I have seen gameplay, because I've been burned too many times by fancy cinematic trailers. Looking at you, Blizzard Entertainment, with your fake ass Warcraft 3 Reforged reveal. But I would say that FromSoft, they have a good track record. I think Sekiro, more than anything, gave me more hope towards Elden Ring, because when you look at all three Souls games, and Demon Souls and Bloodborne, they're all very much the same formula. Even if Bloodborne changes it up a little bit, they're all still Souls-likes by the strictest of definitions. And then you see Sekiro, which I don't, we've discussed it before. I don't consider Sekiro Souls-like, but there were some familiar themes of the Souls games, but it was still a very, it had its own identity in this like action RPG thing. So I think seeing that they could break away from that standard formula and do it so successfully that they got a game of the year out of it, that has me hopeful for Elden Ring. But I mean, I don't know. Are we discussing the leaks at all?
Yeah, we can go into it.
I mean, I looked at them. It looks like Dark Souls and Skyrim just bumped uglies and a beautiful baby was born. The world looks open. The vibrance in the horseback riding scene looked closer to Sekiro than it did to Souls, which I like, because Souls has this very dull kind of gray tone to it. The homing soul arrow, that was there. The soul arrow was there. I saw some kind of soul greatsword going out. I saw a number of weapons from Souls where it looks like they kind of just pulled the models directly from Dark Souls. But I mean, from what I saw, it looks like it is going to be a open world Dark Souls, essentially. Which, I mean, I'm all about it. I want to see more, and I'm hoping that this Bandai Namco next thing, we get actual footage. Bandai is a company that is very content creator / influencer friendly. So there's, I don't know how things are going to be given the pandemic, but I know like in the past we went out and we played Code Vein, I think like 6 months prior to launch. They brought us out for an event to check out the game and give feedback on it at that. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean the Bandai Namco next, I'm hoping we'll see stuff. I'm really hoping we'll have a chance to go hands-on with it. I don't, like I said, I don't show my excitement a lot because I've been burned too many times, but in terms of like checking all the boxes, Elden Ring is looking like it's going to be a knockout. And one of the things I like a lot is they take the sucker punch approach to PR as compared to the CD Projekt Red, where they are just completely silent and they are like, when it's ready, it's ready. and they don't have some social media guy that's busy jerking himself off about how great their game's going to be and building up false anticipation. Like, that's the thing right now. There is a lot of anticipation. I mean, Christ, we've seen Elden Ring trend on Twitter, I think 10 times in the last month. And we've seen like one tweet from some software where they're just like, thank you, we're glad you're all very excited. We hope to show you something in the future. Very just standard, like, respectful Japanese PR reply. And that's it. Nothing else. Just silence, you know, not like, oh, we're going to blow your fucking mind with the next iteration of Dark Souls. And like, they're not doing that, which I like, you know, so.
Yeah, I respect that.
I don't know. It looks good, but, you know, I'm following their example. I'm like, you know, let me see.
Yeah, I personally just like the idea, conceptually speaking, of something more open in the Souls franchise. Because we saw, I feel like the closest we really got to that interconnection was probably the first Dark Souls. I admittedly haven't played all of Dark Souls 3, so that might be it as well. But I think of the first Dark Souls, and I think of Bloodborne, where like all these regions are really interconnected in a much more significant way. But to think of something truly open, and see the horseback riding, like for that to be in the game, I wonder if you're gonna see maybe elements of Shadow of the Colossus in there. You know, that like those maybe not the large stretches of empty land, but more so the point A to point B exploration and having a large scope and scale. I can't help but think of that, and I wonder what that also means for side content and discovery, because that's one of my favorite things with these games is kind of all the secrets that they tuck away
so
everywhere.
Much you can miss.
Yeah. And when you put that in an open world, I mean, that's super enticing to me. There's just so, I mean, you're gonna, dude, as a walkthrough guy, like career-wise,
it's gonna be rough, man. Yeah. As a rule, I generally don't. I don't even like doing walkthroughs of full-on open world games, because I feel like part of a walkthrough is I want to show a very curated, replicatable experience that I would consider to be like the easiest route for someone new to the game.
Right.
And, you know, in a sense, telling you, hey, this is how to do it to get to the end properly. And with more open world, you know, like something like Skyrim, I feel like if somebody was like, this is the 100% walkthrough for Skyrim, my first response would be like, you're an asshole. Because part of Skyrim is the freedom itself, you know? There is no proper way. There is no, this is the, I mean, if you wanted to really break it down, there might be a super optimum route, but maybe that's just for your class. Maybe that's not the optimum. And then you're like, well, because this is the most superior class based on stealth. Then you're getting into like push up the glasses, big brain time, you know? Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be hard. I know I'm going to do it, because if I don't do a walkthrough for Elden Ring, people are going to be like, what the fuck happened to you, cowboy? Fuck garbage channel. used to do walkthroughs, and now you just fucking stream and talk about your kid all the time. Be like,
kids got to come first, man.
Yeah, kids got to come first.
Carrick, where do you stand on Elden Ring?
I'll wait. It's cool. I treat it the same way we did with Hogwarts leak. Like, it looks like it was the real thing. And that'd be cool. I think that it has a lot to go up against, especially when you look at Neo 1 and 2 and some other games that have come. I'm not necessarily looking forward to going back to the jank-ass movement that Dark Souls have always had, so it'll be interesting to see, especially when you come off of even Surge, which I would say probably moved better. I did like Dark Souls 3. I agree with the person who asked the question. I love Dark Souls 3. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm not a big, what's his name? I don't even know the name of the author.
Miyazaki?
No, the author of Elden, George R. R. Martin. I'm not a big fan of his and his writing per se. So I think that's more interesting to me. I have to buy into the fiction of all these games. I bought into Surge. I bought into Neo. If I don't buy into the fiction, actually, I find myself bouncing pretty easily. And so that's the one thing I'm more interested in, is what's the world like? Is there going to be more data, or is it going to be the Dark Souls style of no one talking and a sudden leaf falls and somebody's like, that leaf means, and you're just like, no, I don't.
Well, and that's I mean, from the trailer, like you hear
characters.
It's supposed to be like a narrator being like, I don't know why you would seek the Elden Ring, but no, I can no longer stop. And like it had that very like, hey, we're gonna tell you something, and it's gonna be a mystery for most of the game unless you read the item description on the item you found at the back corner of the sewer after handing in the maiden.
I hope it's a little better than that, though.
It does feel like that from the opening. I was like, oh yeah, we're on our mysterious bullshit. This is what I like to hear.
Yeah, but see, that's strange, because I know Sekiro told you something like a little more direct. You know, it wasn't a storytelling experience, but it was more than what they've previously done.
I mean, well, no, if you think about the Bloodborne trailers, you know, like the original Beast trailers talking about like, oh, the hunt comes, and then I mean, I would put it kind of equal to that, which I think, I mean, in Bloodborne, you know, on the surface, you're like, oh, we're hunting, and then you get to the end, and you're like, actually, now I am a squid baby god that has been reborn.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see the same. I'm hopeful for the weird. Miyazaki likes his weird.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be plenty of weird. I'm really looking forward to seeing more, though. I don't know, because, Carrick, I didn't think of this until you brought it up, but bringing up Hogleg is, I don't know why I ever did it like that.
You just said hogleg.
Yeah, my friends do that. My friends do that, and
Do they?
I hate it. But
yeah. Oh, hogleg. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I was like, why?
My friends love to abbreviate everything as a joke.
Oh,
and,
gotcha.
and they say they're excited for that game. They're like Hogleg, and so Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
Bringing that up, we talked on the Hammerio podcast for I'd say over a year and a half on like when are we going to see the game, because the trailer leaked. It was clearly an internal trailer. We know now, because what we saw officially was completely different. So I do wonder with Elden Ring how long they're going to actually hold this back. Like this could just disappear until maybe June when they want to talk about it more. And if it's going to slip into 2022, then do they hold off on talking Elden Ring and maybe go through instead the games I mentioned, from Tales of Arise, which got delayed out of 2020 indefinitely into this year. Digimon Survive got delayed into this year. They do a Dragon Ball game every year. They have yet to announce that. Scarlet Nexus is coming out in May, apparently. So they've got other things to talk about.
Scarlet Nexus is on deck for May?
I think so. May or...
Man, that seems so soon.
I will double check, but...
I'm ready for that.
Is that the Dragon's Dogma looking one?
No, the anime Devil May Cry one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks really good. I'm sorry, it's not saying. Maybe I just made that up in my head. I apologize. I don't see a release date at all.
I got a little bit of a chub there for a
second. It
said
said mid 2021, Q2, Q3. So I apologize. That is that misleading info.
I don't know. The thing was, from software reveals are always iffy, because I know their relationship with Bandai isn't the best. There's a reason they went with Activision for Sekiro instead of Bandai. And I don't know why they're back to Bandai, but I know it's always been a little bit, kind of shaky there in terms of distribution, and I think some of the payout deals. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, because I honestly expected we were going to see something back at Tokyo Game Show. Everyone's like, it's going to be E3, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Tokyo Game Show was my estimate, because there was actually, I want to say there was a FromSoft slot at Tokyo Game Show, and I was like, this is it, like the stars align. And then they instead they talked about the Sekiro bonus mode, which was fucking dope. The boss rush in Sekiro, I had a blast with that.
I had heard this was being delayed until 2022. So
I'd expect 2022 just based on what we know already. I don't expect it this year at all.
Yeah, I felt
which is fine. Way. Take your time with it.
Yeah, take your time.
There's not even a lot of PS5s and Xboxes out there right now. It's okay.
Are they confirmed next gen only?
I was gonna say that's speculative, but I feel like they're going to.
Oh, sorry, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm sure people will want to play on the better ones, and a bit more people are buying those than the old ones. So I was just saying to get more platforms. That is true.
Not to get too off topic, but when do you think we're gonna start seeing that shift where studios are like, this game is only next gen? Sorry, your
I know of two who paused that because of the what do you call it? The hardware. Two who were thinking of going next gen only, but the hardware has destroyed a lot of plans. Dude, it's a huge look at AMD. AMD's got issues all over the place. Nvidia's got issues all over the place, and both
semiconductor
consoles.
shortage.
Yeah. And so I don't know. And then scalpers did screw up. We don't know how many millions they have, if they even have millions, but they screwed up some stuff. The price is crazy. I mean, if I was a company that had the ability to port it to everything, I would do so. And I think your primary companies will be your first parties that take advantage of SSD stuff to the utmost. Because it's a huge group of people who have PS4s now, too.
Oh, no, yeah. That's your market still. Yeah. It's like 90% of the market is last gen consoles at the moment.
And if you look at Ghost of Tsushima, I'm not fine with that, but you get my drift. Like, that game was awesome looking. There's other games that are awesome looking. I could deal with
Ghost was phenomenal, but I think that's one of the things is Like, you know, I saw a lot of people comparing Ghost to Cyberpunk. Like, well, if Ghost can do it, Cyberpunk can do it.
No, it's not how it works.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, you had the only thing they were building that for
8
was
years.
PS4. Yeah.
8 years for both of those games, and the only thing they were doing was one That's the
Yeah, it was
difference.
one console.
One platform. Yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, though I will say, graphically, that game just
So good.
So good.
made PC people get sweaty. It was looking so good. I was like,
Oh, dude,
yeah,
PC
PS4
people
is-
don't need to worry.
Yeah, I was about to say. One of these days, right?
Huh?
I would not be surprised.
Dude, the world's on its head right now, man. People are going to be up in arms about like who's doing what on what platforms. I think people need to be prepped because
that game looks like every PlayStation game has a certain case. Like I think Ghost of Tsushima makes its own case to go on PC because it looks so good. It's like, how much crazier can we make this look if we put it on PC?
dude,
Everything
120
like
frames per
trees.
second, 4K with DLSS, all the way out, draw distance, anti-aliasing done correctly. You can do a lot.
Speaking of Souls-likes and DLSS, there was a thing I was reading about how Neo 2 is actually one of the most, in terms of like production, it's one of the hardest hitting DLSS games available. Like it bends over NVIDIA and it's like, yes, give me your DLSS, and just spanking it. NVIDIA's just like, no, please, we're trying. Which is impressive. I mean, I mean, to be fair, Koei Tecmo, they are not known for their PC launches.
Yeah, there were some issues with this for sure.
Yeah, they are. I mean, hell, the PS5 version has better performance than the PC, and I'm sitting on a 3080 at the moment. But I know there are effect particles. I mean, Neo is like an effect explosion, especially once you get into the late game. It's just,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
buffs. I think my favorite thing is I don't know if you guys ever seen the anime Overlord, but there's a scene in it where he's supposed to fight somebody, and you might have seen the scene because it's a popular meme, and he's like, before we fight, I need to prepare, and he's like, blessing light, holy water, magic missile,
Yes.
magic missile, and he just keeps putting on buffs and buffs and buffs, and I've seen that meme used
That's
so
awesome.
much for Neo, where it's
Neo?
like
Yeah.
me before I fight the boss, and it's just like
Yep.
just stacking them buffs up, man. Which that's actually on the note of best Souls game for me, it's Neo 2, man. I
Absolutely. Yep.
I
love
agree.
Neo 2.
I agree. Yep.
So much fun.
That's so funny. We all agree on that.
It's the
100%
only
there.
one I've returned to in lieu of like other games and just been like, I'm just going to play Neo 2 again.
Have you tried playing it with the fists yet?
No. No,
Oh
not at all.
God, dude, the fists they're so much fun. Like
Yeah, I haven't
it was
tried
the
that.
perfect final weapon to end the game with, because they are like if you've ever played like Claws in Ninja Gaiden, it's
Yeah.
close to that.
Oh,
where you're,
hell yeah.
you're just
I'm
ripping
sold.
off with combos.
sold.
They're so much fun to play with.
Dude, yeah, that's the thing. Neo 2 is such a special game because it takes all these different ideas from a bunch of games and just like Ninja Gaiden, Diablo, like Dynasty Warriors to some extent, and just like puts them all together. Souls, of course, and it just
Yeah, it executes
works.
it really well.
Yeah, I mean, Bloodborne would be my favorite FromSoft, but Neo 2 is just on a whole other level to me.
Yeah, FromSoft, I think I would actually be I don't, like I said, not a Souls-like, but Sekiro. That's something about the
Sekiro would probably
rhythm.
be mine.
the rhythm of the battle in Sekiro, just like the exchange of the
very
blades, just it's delicious.
It's very unique. All right, we still got a lot to go through. Let's get to number 2. Since its E3 2018 reveal, Dying Light 2 has struggled to get out the door. From Paul Sellinger, a 22-year veteran departing to the loss of Chris Avellone in June and multiple delays, the bumpy ride has continued. Outlet The Gamer spoke to employees from Techland about the state of the game as well as their workplace. One source called it, quote, a production pipeline that changes so quickly and rapidly it might as well not exist, end quote. Quote, what is going on in Techland is just total chaos, not iteration, end quote, explained another source. Quote, there are plenty of examples where there is someone responsible for a given feature, but creative director Adrian Sizuski, and CEO Paul Marchuka, I might stutter over a couple of these here, just overwrite this because of some bullshit reason. Like they've seen something working differently in other games, end quote, which, by the way, is very prevalent in this article, like the obsession with other people's work and trying to replicate it in their own. Another source called it, quote, a well-known joke at Techland that nothing is ever approved, including the name of the game. You can be told to redo some of your work you had approved for a month just because the CEO changed his mind after seeing something on the internet, end quote. Quote, it is 100% true that there is nothing written in stone in Techland. Dying Light 2's story was rewritten like 6 times or so. It could have worked in Dying Light, but it just makes production for Dying Light 2, a much bigger project, impossible to move forward, end quote. According to the report, the core of the problem, CEO Paul Marchuka, the write-up cites a uncomfortable work situation where employees go to his wife, who also works at Techland, to pitch ideas in the hopes of being able to convince him in turn. It also states that he has a desire to continuously bring in, quote, new experts, end quote, as they cycle staff in and out of Techland, and 20 employees of their total of 400 have left so far. Interestingly, Marchuka was contacted by the gamer. This is really something that rarely happens, where the report usually comes out and then you have a follow-up. So this is all embodied in this report. And actually, Marchuka responded to some of the claims about him. Quote, Techland has its very own way of producing games, end quote, Marchuka says. Quote, with each title, it is constantly adapting to the needs of the project, the size of the team, and other aspects affecting our work. I think that is what most companies across the world do, end quote. So there is a lot more in the terms of extra details, but I tried to pull out the juiciest ones here. Anthony A. writes in, Dukes and Lords, a recent article on The Gamer revealed some non-too-flattering behind-the-scenes strife at Techland regarding the prolonged development of Dying Light 2. Mismanagement, bad communication, and hemorrhaging talent appears to be a few of the problems at the rising developer. After reading this article, would it be wise for Microsoft to, quote, get in bed, end quote, with Techland in the terms of potentially buying the studio or exclusivity for Dying Light 2? This is something we've talked about on the show before, thanks to rumors. On one hand, I say no, but on the other, if Microsoft can come in and flux with cash, it can exactly be it can be exactly what this game and the developer need to get it over the hump, as well as locking up a potential hit from an up-and-coming studio. Stay sexy, stay safe. Thank you, Anthony. Wow. So yeah, like I said, the write-up I have here, I have to be honest, it probably doesn't do the whole article justice, because it is like a multi-page just.
It sounds like
quotes,
a sitcom.
Quotes. Yeah, just absolutely blowing the door open on kind of what's happened with Dying Light 2. And so the main takeaway here is, like I said, the CEO is apparently cycling in talent. It seemingly will see something online or see something in Cyberpunk, see something in some game and say, well, we've got to do that now. And they're like taking stuff out, adding stuff in, redoing parts of the story. So this thing sounds heavily disjointed. And it really concerning, because when I saw this at E3 2018, when I went and previewed it, dude, that shit looked good. I don't know where the lack of confidence comes from what I was shown, and obviously what the public was then shown afterwards with the 20 plus minutes of gameplay. But yeah, I thought this was really important to highlight, because this is something that was reportedly in Microsoft's wheelhouse. They were helping get this game on track or something along those lines. And you know, when you hear stuff like this, what do you guys make of it? Do you not only from the Xbox perspective, but more so just in general, what's going on with Techland, and what do you think the fate of Dying Light 2 may be at the end of this road?
Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's gonna come out one way or another. They've invested too much into it. If I was Microsoft, I wouldn't want to get involved with a project that sounds this chaotic. It sounds like you have a CEO that doesn't know how to appoint management and instead wants to micro everything, which is like the most toxic work environment ever. When you have someone that's just constantly over your shoulder, you can't do it. If anything, if Microsoft did want to get on board with this, I think it would have to be with a with a deal. Like, we're coming in, we're installing a creative director who's getting final say on the project, and we're paying you money. We are leading out the development and closing it. You'd have to force the CEO to go hands off, because otherwise I wouldn't want to get involved with that. Yeah. Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like at most they'll probably do a Game Pass deal. I feel like that's probably the safest thing. Hey, you guys finish your game. Whenever you finish it, it'll be day one here on Game Pass. Get as many people through the door and just kind of keep it at that.
Yeah.
That's normally what I'd take a look at it as. Carrick, what about you?
I think if you look at Microsoft's purchasing, they don't purchase companies that are in destructive flux. So I don't think you would see them purchase them. Because I know a lot of people, there was some hints that might happen, and then the Techland guy came out and blah, blah, blah. And I know it's gone back and forth in the rumor mill. When it comes to helping them, I don't see any reason why Microsoft would help them. I don't know from the outside what my own life looks like, but I'm sure if somebody looked at it, there would be a ton of complaints about me and how I do things, because we all do things different. And at least with these complaints, some are bad, like, and should be fixed right away. Like, there's some sexist stuff that was weird. Like, he has a picture of he has like a painting. I read all this, by the way. It was like Austin Powers, the video game producer. Because he's got an actual, in his office, he has an actual painting of a naked woman and a lion. And I'm like, dude, we're in the fucking 2000s now. Like,
Yeah,
that's
weird to have in
that's
your
like
office.
black velvet painting, you know, possibly some kind of chemical on a rag kind of creepiness. Like, get the fuck out with that stuff at your office. So those kind of things need to be fixed. But if they want to run it, one thing that people forget is, and we all love games, you can allow a company to fuck up. If they fuck up, and if the game is bad, that's life. That's how shit works. Everybody's like, it all has to run the same as Witcher. Well, guess what? Cyberpunk didn't, and look where they are. So, to me, the weird shit needs to get fixed. There's some PR issues for sure. You should never have your HR person be your wife. Like, what the fuck, man? You're puff, puff, pass, man. Move the bong. You're holding that thing for too long if your wife is the HR. But the other stuff, there's not a lot an outside entity can do. And so I'm not going to shed a tear for it. I don't think it looked like anything other than Dying Light 2, if that makes sense. And I wasn't in love with Dying Light 1. What I mean by that is I didn't think 1 was a classic. So 2 looked better, but I'm not going to die if it never comes out. I'm not going to die if it comes out and sucks. And I'll certainly celebrate it if it comes out and it's awesome. But I'm not too attached really right now.
I'd agree with that. I think it was a fun
fun
co-op game.
Yeah, a very fun
get a
co-op
buddy
game.
in and mess around. Oh, the zombies are coming, get on the bridge. But
Yeah.
you know, there wasn't
There wasn't
like,
a
oh my
lot
gosh.
there, if you know what I mean. Like there was, it was like once you saw what you saw in Dying Light.
Yeah,
there
once
was
you
never,
saw what you could do, you've seen it.
Yeah, it was, and you know, having gone through it a single time on my own and then another time with co-op, it's like there was no surprises, which is okay. Oh well, there's a story surprise, but other than that.
Yeah, see, it's interesting you guys say that. I think, yeah, what you're saying, yeah, I agree with. Like, once you see it, you know, because it doesn't have any surprises behind it with gameplay or whatever. Like, you know, it's really how much you can buy into. I wouldn't even say a loop, but more so its mechanics.
And
like
it's a fun
the
loop.
Danger of the night. Yeah, the parkour, the grappling. I love the game, man. I thought it was really fun. I actually kind of thought about going back to it, but now knowing what's happening with the sequel, it's how much do you want to dive into something? But you know, right now, I hope that they do figure something out, because I thought that the sequel showed potential at the least. You know, the story choices and stuff, because that was the weakest part of Dying Light 2. And when they were hiring talent like originally Chris Avellone, before everything came out about him, and I was thinking, wow, okay, they seem to be taking this very seriously. They seem to understand, like, this was their weak spot, you know, because Dying Light's gameplay, I'm not going to say it was like the best thing ever, but it was enough to uphold and
solid.
be unique. Yeah, with the parkour and stuff, not many games are doing that. So you thought, all right, if this is all you get with the gameplay in the second one, and then you get a good story on top of that with the choices they were showing, I thought, hey, this could actually be something really, really sick. But who the hell knows now? If the story's been rewritten, probably what we've seen from that gameplay over a year and a half ago now, probably doesn't exist anymore. And I didn't think it seemed feasible back then. When I made a video on it, I went, how are they going to make it where, like, how does the resource management work where they literally had a choice you could make that would drain a whole section of the open world that you could explore, and if you didn't, they said you could miss it. And I'm like, choice and consequence makes sense. You want heavy choice and consequence in a game that's going to be an RPG, but
big chunks of content.
Yeah, but yeah, and also for them, like, it's building parts of your open world and just saying, yeah, someone probably won't see this. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't add up to me. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But just an update on a studio, you know, that's been connected to Microsoft in the past. But if I'm them, yeah, I let them figure their shit out, right? Because they're not supposed to be the team that sticks their head into every mess and tries to fix it, right?
Exactly. You don't
like,
buy yourself out of those kind of problems anyway.
Their job is to, especially with the position they're in, their job is, if to anything, buy themselves into complete success. Like, they want to see the game working, looking well, everyone's in agreement, and then they buy in. Right now, them coming in, a lot of people think Microsoft's like this repairman for the industry because they have a lot of money, and we've seen, I think it's also, we've seen them make some questionable things, like teaming up with Bloober on multiple occasions. It's like, how much do you care about quality control if this is who you selected?
Well, I mean, they've made a lot. I think Mixer was one of their biggest fuck ups, if we're being honest. Like, create a streaming platform, spend a huge amount of marketing on,
and then hire a ninja,
talent,
right? And then turn around like a month later
and abandon your platform. Like, oh.
And then Ninja just walks away with like what, 10 million or
but that's
what
that's one thing that people don't understand. That's the money Microsoft has. That is another, to put it another way, that is the Microsoft has walking away money. It's like the hot dude in a relationship. You can walk away. You're like, I'm out. I'm gonna go find somebody better, and Microsoft can do that. Or hot
that's
chick,
something people.
Whichever.
Anytime back when the Bethesda acquisition happened, there was a lot. Well, Sony needs to acquire blah blah blah, and people don't understand. Like, Microsoft could buy fucking Sony if they wanted. Microsoft has big dick fuck you money.
Not only that,
not a lot of companies have that.
I don't know if you feel the same way, Cowboy, but Maddie and I've talked about it. That's like what a console gamer warrior would say, is you need to uppercut when they uppercut. Like, it's like, what? Dude, what are you talking about? In fact, Microsoft needs to do more, not less. Like, Sony doesn't need. Sony is okay. You know, they've got their shit. They've had their studios. Their games that have not been great, admittedly. Like Days Gone, I think, was a weird black eye for them. But they're fine. You don't need to hammer back every single time some other company does something. Yeah. That's the first way you're going to screw up your company anyway.
Yeah. Next piece of major news. While speculation runs rampant on whatever Xbox has planned for the month of March, Aaron Greenberg, who is GM of Xbox Games Marketing, had the following to say when Elden Ring rumors started to pop up involving some kind of Xbox showcase. Quote, just to set expectations, this is not happening. There are always things we have in the works, but nothing coming soon that would feature game announcements or world premieres like this, end quote. As always, there is a caveat, however. Aaron Greenberg is the same fine gentleman who said, quote, I don't know. I know everyone's hungry for news, but sorry to get your hopes up. These accounts have been inactive for years. It's standard practice for us to secure social handles for our IP, end quote, in response to privated Fable and Perfect Dark Twitter accounts. 1 month later, Fable by Playground Games was revealed, and 5 months later, Perfect Dark from the Initiative was revealed. Furthermore, Thurrott reports that Microsoft is holding a, quote, what's new for gaming event on March 23rd, and it will be followed by a, quote, what's new for Windows, end quote, event. Also, since we've discussed these reportings, this part we don't really have to talk about at all, but I just wanted to add it in for the sake of our conversation from last week. I wanted to give the latest on Jeff Grubb's comments on Xbox, as there's been a slight pivot. He said, as far as I know, Microsoft will talk about Bethesda when that deal closes, as all of us have expected and really know, but he says, I wouldn't even expect Starfield there E3 if it's ready, and then a presentation around E3. So just wanted to round that up a little bit, just not to get off track with what he's saying. But what do you guys make of Thurrott with the March 23rd event? Aaron Greenberg saying, hey, there's nothing, but there's clearly something that's going to happen. I'm starting to get the feeling it's going to be a business-facing kind of like a earnings call type thing where you get the gaming info through that, but it's not a E3 or a
this doesn't feel like the recent PlayStation showcase from the way they've described it with a what's new in gaming, what's new in Windows. I think we're going to see talk about Xcloud. We're going to see talk about Game Pass. Our portfolio is up, blah blah blah, with this many new titles. This doesn't. The description doesn't sound like we're going to show you 15 new dope games that you can get behind.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And plus, I think it's weird that they're not doing that because they do have a list. It's not like a super impressive list, but they do have one of Xbox on Xbox Wire of a bunch of exclusive games, third-party things that are coming. And I'm like, why aren't they saying, hey, here's what we have beyond Halo Infinite? That's my big question.
Well, I think we'll see it, but E3 has been officially canceled for the year. Bandai Namco Next popped up. And a lot of studios already kind of shifted to their own thing. Ubisoft does their own thing. EA does their own thing. I think if we're going to see big Microsoft news, I would expect we'll see a bigger conference roughly the same time that E3 would have occurred. Because even with E3 being down, studio, that's their big push, is the summertime you show up what you have coming because you want to get people excited for Q4 and you want to get them Christmas tendies. Man. So I don't think we're going to see it here, but I do think I think we might see an Elden Ring trailer come around June, whether it's by Bandai or by Microsoft. But I think that's where we're going to see games is then.
Yeah. Eric, what do you make of some of these events or lack thereof? I know we've talked about it a lot.
I mean, you don't post your personal best prior to the fucking event. I'll just say that. There's some stuff going on, and you won't see them posting when they can't sell consoles because there's no consoles existing. Yeah. The PR people I've talked to are like, shit's moving around because why would you waste a valuable announcement now when you can't even find Xbox S's, which are obviously selling worse than PlayStation 5s, but still selling enough that sometimes they're out of stock. So it's obvious people want them. They can't get them. And those companies look at that and you sell into. That's one of the things that used to happen was they'd be like, this console company sold this many. And then you'd find out like there were big pallets sitting at the company's store. And they'd be like, sell into is different than selling. And I think what happens right now is we don't know the sell-in numbers to the consoles. We don't know even how how many people want them. Like you hear somebody wants something because you can't get it. It's like once these are available, how many people are going to be diving? Are people going to be rethinking a purchase once they see what's out? So a lot of these companies are playing a game where they decide to move forward or not move forward. And there's you can almost feel them hitting the gas and then the brakes, the gas and then the brakes. Also, I will say this. There's a possibility some people on Twitter do not know what is coming in the future because there's most likely a couple people that are I'm not saying Aaron, by the way, though that is possible. I think for a lot of stuff, people, higher up decide things, hold it close to their chest, sort of. This is something that we saw with Albert Pinello, who used to work at Microsoft. Albert Pinello had some words that weren't really nice towards Phil Spencer. Sort of came across like a king running a thing, but somebody asked a question of why you didn't do this, and he said only one person runs Microsoft and knows most of everything that's going on, and it's not me or the other person, and the only other person was Phil, who that could have been. And there were some people wanting to know why Microsoft hadn't given some data and all this stuff, and Albert was like, go talk to the person who runs it. So Phil probably keeps a lot of shit close to his chest. There's a lot of leakers out there. A lot of people leaking shit, so...
Can't blame him.
I can't either, man. If I was the president, I would only have very few people to decide and continually do your think tank. I mean, those are meetings at lunch, dude. I mean, I remember being in CEO meetings where there's like 2 people there. And it was like, that's it. No one knew what was going on. Because if you do, you get company people going the wrong way, or like even just internally excitement, and then you got to kill the excitement. Like, what if you're like, oh, we've decided not to do that? So there'll be something for sure, but
yeah, there's no doubt about that. That's pretty.
I think it's good that he clarified those comments, because instantly when you read them last week, I was like, that's just a person saying what the expectation is of a company, and Microsoft could change it any time too. We'll see. I wonder how long it takes for them to put on an event. What I mean by that is, let's say I decide today, and you want to film Phil's house, because that dude just never leaves his home. His shitty ass wooden floored home with his $1 Logitech Walmart fucking webcam. How long do you guys think that takes? Because they got to make a trailer, right? That's it. I mean, I say that's it, but you get my drift. It's not production. It's this group making a trailer, right? You hire a couple people, you run them through a couple scripts, and then you open a Twitch channel with OBS. Some dude looking like me works at Microsoft, and his job is to get Phil Spencer onto Twitch. Imagine how stressful that shit'd be. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I guess scripts are a big thing. I mean, we talked
That'd be about it, right?
We talked to the guy who runs Player One trailers, and I remember him saying, like, when they did Divinity or whatever, they're kind of just given the game and they tinker for a couple of weeks on shots.
He did come on.
So what he told me, it wasn't like the timeline was extreme, especially if they're planning on showing things. It's very well, if they started in February, that you could start to see something late March or April. And if it's stuff that they go, oh, we want to announce this in June, then maybe they start later this month for then. I think that's what starts to happen, and you kind of ramp up and get all that going internally. And obviously, if you're bringing in other companies, they probably have all their own editing like studios or whatever that handle this, or maybe employees in-house. Because I'm pretty sure, I remember Bethesda Game Studios, they hired video editors to do their own trailers. Like, you can work at BGS as a video editor.
I know a couple of people on Microsoft's PR team, and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they do not I PR teams vary throughout the industry. I don't want to.
Oh yes.
I don't want to name any companies here, but there's been some PR events I've been to where it's like, who the fuck set this thing up?
Yeah.
Microsoft. I mean, as in all things, Microsoft has money, and money makes things happen.
It is true. Yeah, I always remember the Halo Wars 2 event. I was like, wow, this is way more luxurious than it needs to be. That's when I knew. That's when I learned they got some real cash to blow.
I felt the same way about the Ubisoft ones when you go see a Ubisoft game. Like there's all I wanted was a piece of pizza, guys. That's all I wanted, a piece of pizza. But I forgot that I'm in the business group.
Full catered with,
and it's full catered, but it's this kind of pizza, the little tiny triangles, and they're like Guida and fucking like jalapeno, and I'm like, dude. Can somebody just get me a burger, man? Like a normal meal? But I was in San Francisco. There was no way they were going to do Subway.
There's actually every time I have to do one of the events in San Francisco, there's this little like downtown lobster shop that has just an amazing lobster roll sandwich. So the next time we're out for an event,
I was just going to say we all need to go out next time and go to because Ubisoft ones, a lot of them are in the same local areas, which is very cool. I've got to meet a lot of people at those.
Yeah, no, I think Microsoft. I remember they had this was years ago, but they had a E3 after party, and I remember it was right after the Tomb Raider reboot, and they had a massive Tomb Raider ice sculpture they had paid to get built, and they had hired a bartender that would pour a shot down the ice sculpture, and it would go down a little ice slide into your mouth at the bottom of the ice sculpture. They had open bar. They had a rock band set up, so I got to get drunk and sing rock band. Sounds like your house. Live. I got to get drunk and sing rock band live at a Microsoft party. It was the most ballin' shit ever. It's like, damn.
I think one of the crazier ones was Borderlands 3, man. When you and I went.
Jesus Christ, how much money did they blow on that?
Yeah, I really gotta wonder, man. We walked into like a venue for that shit.
Yeah.
They went all out for
flying
that.
everybody out, giving us snazzy ass hotel rooms.
I was gonna say,
Jesus Christ, y'all could have just sent me some gameplay demo. Done this at home. You don't have to.
I'm sure they're looking at it now with how like easy it is to set up a digital demo, and they're going like, "Fuck!" Like we didn't have to put them in like 80 million hotels and. Like your room was really nice. I remember you telling me about that. Like you
I love the digital demo stuff too, because I'd much rather. I'm a hermit.
Oh God,
I don't want to leave
my
house. Let me
I don't let them pay, so I would always have to like save up, scrounge up money for like the hotel and stuff. And we'd stay in some. We stayed in some uniquely questionable places in San Francisco. I'll just say that. When your taxi cab driver who speaks Russian like GTA 4, no lie, Cadiz and I are sitting there, and he's like, go here, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, go this side. And I was like, all right. And he takes us around and he's like, listen, do not go that side. Stay here. And I was like, okay. And then gunshots. Gah! And I was all, what the fuck is happening? It was awesome. It was right out of it was right out of a movie. It was
awesome. He says,
dude, I ate that shit up, man. Trust me, I was doing the old stealth thieving into the wrong areas. We went to a 7-Eleven. It was the sketchiest 7-Eleven. It was like more like a 4.5. It wasn't even a 7-Eleven. Oh, man. It was pretty dangerous. And I went in, and the fucking aisle was illegal. There's no way aisles can be so tight. That's a fire hazard. The aisle was this tight. And I was squeezing through, and it was like an NPC generator, man, because people weren't finishing sentences, and they were just doing weird shit. And I remember Cadiz is like, dude, I want out. So no lie, we bought Crustables, which were probably 8 months old. We bought some Tarantino's pizzas, and we fucking jetted out of there. And when we leave, like, people are like, hey, you got any money? And instead of sounding like a request, it was like, this is a precursor to murder. So what I'm telling you is... It's almost like those bandits who are like, I'll take $400 or I'll kill you in an Elder Scrolls game. And I was like, we didn't give them any money. We jetted out of there. But yeah, good times,
dude, that
man.
Reminds
I sort of
me
miss that.
exactly of being in San Francisco, funny enough.
It's
and yeah,
unique.
Yeah, and me and my friend, 18 years old at the time, like fucking dumb choice here. It's like 11 at night and we're like, let's go out and get food. So we walk outside because our hotel didn't have like any vending machines, nothing. And we're like, dude, we're starving. So we decided to walk the streets of San Francisco at 11 at the heart of the city. Dude, dumbest choice I think I've ever made in my life. We walk outside, literally to our left, there's cops arresting people outside a bar. Guy's got his shirt off. I'm like, all right, the authority is here. We're fine. We walk down the street a little bit more. We walk into probably the sketchiest kind of, I think it was actually a 7-Eleven now that I think about it. And, this guy's on his Bluetooth the whole time, just talking away. And the place looks destroyed, man. It looks like something out of The Division. and then we walk out. And when we walk outside, there's a group of cops running down a group of guys. Like one of them spears them, tackles them, start arresting him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man! Like I just want to get food, and
dude,
everyone's getting arrested.
Hotel.
Like,
dude,
back to the hotel I went with my food.
I forgot. So I go down there with Vanzelwell and Cadiz to see Watch Dogs 2. And there's a Subway there with a chain on the door. Now I've seen that in some places, but the chain on the door is just on the door. And so I like to know what goes on, like what's happening. So I'm like, dude, can I get and he's getting me stuff. And I'm like, can I ask, why the fuck is that chain just on the door? And he's like, because they keep stealing our door. And I was all, that's raw. That's when you know the world is weird. When they steal the Subway door multiple times. He's like, yeah, about 8 times a month they were stealing our door. So now we just chain the door to this cement. And I was like, dude, what do you think they're doing? Wow. And then we had this long drawn out story about like, are they sledding behind cars? Are they using it for shelter? It became this awesome thing. But I tell everybody, I have these weird stories about San Francisco, but dude, you got to go because I have some of the best pictures. It's beautiful, dangerous. It's like an exotic woman. She may shoot you or give you a really bad VD, but she's still worth checking out. Go to San Francisco one time in your life.
These stories are crazy to me because I remember we did San Francisco and I went out with my buddy Greg lives out there near Oakland, and it was me, Greg, and one of the folks from Ubisoft, and we went out and we were doing fucking karaoke and drinking and I think we were over near like the near the gay bars and stuff.
No, bro, I was at what's the term? The name for the really dangerous place in San Francisco.
I don't know.
There's a very specific, somebody's going to know it right away, but he even told us the name, like Skid Row kind of thing. He's like...
Oh, well, the gay bar area of San Francisco is fucking great, dude. They
awesome.
had like 2 for 1 on like chocolate candy bars and karaoke. They were like, don't you
cool.
worry, honey, I got you.
It was great during the daytime.
During the daytime, it was just a completely different vibe during the daytime.
Yeah, I was on the pier and shit. Like I was having a good time riding trolleys and all that shit. Yeah, it was great.
Oh yeah, they got some nice trolleys. Those are cool. Except we got on one and I'm pretty sure that he had COVID because we got on a trolley and he's like, rah! Rah! And Cadiz and I look at each other, and there's like a role-playing store, and Clara she was at Sandbox, she was like, it's going to be like an hour. We've got an extra hour. Unfortunately, it's delayed for Divine Divinity, or Divinity Original Sin. And Cadiz and I just leapt off, man. We were like, fucking, we're out! We had no clue what that guy had, because it had just started with the COVID stuff, and we were like, I'm not quite sure I want to hang out on it.
Yeah. Good
times.
Number 4. New Game Pass editions. We'll have to fly through some of this news now just because we're already at an hour and a half.
I blame myself every time I come on this shit.
No. It's us. It's us. Me and Carrick don't know how to shut up.
It's true.
Madden 21 is available now on Game Pass. Football Manager 2021 is available March 4th on PC and console Game Pass. NBA 2K21 is available on March 4th on console and cloud Game Pass. Star Wars Squadrons is coming in March, and NHL 21 is coming in March. So if you like sports, Game Pass is your place to go right now, which is kind of huge. I feel like they're going to see a big boost from this. Probably not relevant to our audience, but yeah, Squadrons, man.
Squadrons was fun. I did a couple streams. I did one of those Snapchat filters, and I added a voice mod into OBS, so I was like full on Darth Vader for the stream.
Oh, very cool.
Shit was fun.
Did you do it in VR at all?
No, I have my VR headset just collects dust. It just sits.
Same.
And the other thing is you always gotta you gotta pull up the little antenna things, and then it's like you're in the danger zone, and you're like, just let me play the fucking game.
Yeah. For me, it's just that like, fuck Facebook. That's really it.
That too. I don't.
No. I know they got my data, but when you're overly transparent about it, I'm like, no. That's when you don't get my data. You don't get to see what my room looks like when you scan the safety zone. Yeah. Hell no, I'm good. Number 5, Halo Infinite got a batch of brand new screenshots. We saw a day and night cycle. They described the game again as a spiritual reboot, which that was news to me. I actually don't know if anyone knew that, but they said this in 2019 as well. And they mentioned an open-ended gameplay cycle thanks to the Grapple Shot boys in the Google Doc. I got some, of course, screenshots there for us to, peruse.
I'm looking through them now.
What do you make of this? Carrick, I know you want to see an emotion. I'm with you, but overall from a screenshot stable look at the game compared to what we saw last summer, are you pleased? No.
I need to see it. I do. I need to see it.
I agree.
I have no issue with it. It doesn't do anything until I get to see what it looks like when it's moving around. And what they haven't controlled, by the way. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, just artistically, when I look at it, I'm like, yeah.
It looks like Halo, which is what I like. Yeah.
Yeah, the Halo, very, very distinct style to Halo. It's hard to...
Dude, it's just... Did you guys know about the spiritual reboot at all? Was that just me slowing the uptake on that one?
I don't think I knew that.
Kind of like a God of War. Like that type of, it's going to continue, but also restart. That's apparently what they're doing. They said it in this, and then I read in the...
So wait, we're going to like the beginning of the Halo story?
That's what I don't really get, because I was reading, and it didn't seem like, oh, it's restarting, but almost a clean slate, which... Because, I think certain things are going to carry over. Like God of War clearly takes place after 3, even though it's called God of War. But there's a different mythology. Yeah. But you still have, Kratos' scar in his chest from 3.
They've hit the time on the Halo franchise where I think something like that would be
feasible.
Fans would be receptive to it. Yeah.
I agree. It's probably like they looked at Last Jedi, and then they looked at Rise of Skywalker, and they said, we could either try to collect the scraps here and make a sequel to something that clearly wasn't really a great campaign, or we can just soft reset this and just build from there. So I think they actually made the right choice.
The open world idea excites me. Give me an open world and a grappling hook, I'll have fun.
Absolutely, yeah. Because Doom even had grappling shit, so and a lot of exploration. So putting that in a more open setting is pretty enticing to me. So, number 6, this was where we'll probably, this is something rather we'll probably see at the What's New in Gaming event that's rumored. Microsoft is testing 1080p xCloud streams for Game Pass Cloud gaming. This is a report that comes from Windows Central. Right now, streaming is limited to 720p, but as Microsoft upgrades the Xbox Cloud streaming service from the Xbox One to the Series X architecture, that'll make it a thing of the past. The site was sent screen caps from a trusted source showing off how Blade said it was sacrificed running in 1080p through Xcloud. So just a little note there. And I think, Carrick, that could actually tie into what you were saying about Game Bar on Samsung TVs, and how we've been talking a lot about that Game Pass app on televisions where all you'll eventually need is a controller. Do you think they're kind of setting up for this, where you're not going to want to stream these games on a big TV in 720p, getting it to 1080p first with the Series X architecture on the cloud would lead to something that we've been talking about for a while?
Yeah, so that everybody knows, Samsung and Microsoft just basically announced that they're going to continue basically as a partnership. LG also does, but Samsung's doing some stuff different where it's basically using the new OS it has to sort of take data from the Xbox. And so you'll be able to see some things. Right now, I think 1 or 2 TVs, I could be wrong. I think 1 or 2 TVs might show you your latency, but actually, now that I think about it, I think that's actually wrong. I don't think they do. But if they do, this is one of the things Samsung's will do, is it'll show you your latency. It'll also do auto switching to low latency modes, but from the words I'm getting from different TV manufacturer like sources and leaks, is that in the future, what we're going to start seeing is some auto settings for HDR. And I do know one company that was they weren't close, but they were considering giving you a color monitor for your screen. So if anybody knows what that is, it's a camera, and you hang it over your TV. You put it against the TV, and then it can tell you if your colors are accurate. And instead of you saying if they're accurate, it can flash green and say this is the proper green, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of Photoshop people use that. What happens with HDR is there's issues with brightness and contrast. I don't know about you guys, but I've played so many games. In fact, IGN can't figure it out, but you'll see videos go up where they've got the wrong gamma. They've got limited versus full, or full versus limited. So it looks gray and blown out. And this would supposedly stop a lot of that, and it will allow for people who get into HDR and TVs. We'll have to see what Samsung does fully to get in a little easier, which is cool. And Microsoft's already pushed. They were the first ones to have low latency stuff, even on the Xbox X. So it'll be cool to see what they do. But that's been talked about for a while. I don't know. I thought it was supposed to be announced almost like 2 or 3 months ago, but it got announced yesterday.
I think even if they did them smaller, like computer monitor size, I bet they would sell like hotcakes. Because I always have people that are like, you know,
what's wrong with my colors?
What TV do I get? What TV do you recommend? And I'm like, dude, I do everything on PC. Like I'm on like an Acer Predator, which I like. I think it's great. Yeah, but like those. I wouldn't buy this for like a
TV room.
Yeah, like a couch console. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so it's going to be cool to see. People don't, like, in the past, you would never get a lot of data from the console into the TV and vice versa. And now what's going on is the TV manufacturers are opening up to the console manufacturers and saying, and Sony does it. They already have PS4 ready TVs. You know, there's something, I don't even know if they do anything. I think they might just have the support. This one's going to talk. And then Samsung has the AI chip in there that supposedly is going to help people set up TVs. And I can't wait, man, because, dude, the number of people who tell me their HDR looks like shit or whatever, and I'm like, dude, really? How? Or they'll say, I don't know, I can't see HDR, and I'm all...
I don't mess with it. I tried doing it for Ghost of Tsushima, and first I like hyper contrasted everything.
Right. And there you go. It needs to be auto. It needs to be auto.
Well, especially from a recording standpoint, not only are you messing with HDR, you need to also properly set your HDR settings in the Elgato.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? No, screw it. We're going back to regular.
When I record, I also record SDR. I'm not going to mess with any of that shit. Yeah.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I agree. I think Xbox has auto HDR, right, for certain games or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing about auto HDR is it tone maps up. So if the brightest a TV picture can be in Red Dead is like 800 or something, this would it basically makes everything brighter, darker. It expands the contrast. It's very cool. But again, if your TV's set up wrong, doesn't matter. It's almost like somebody can buy a really nice car. If it's tuned wrong, doesn't matter what you do. It's not going to work.
Gotcha.
And that's what happens a lot of times.
Interesting.
So as a nerd, that's just really exciting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm excited about this. It may not seem like big news for people, but what it will lead into, I think, is much more substantial.
I mean, anything that I can buy, I am terrible about this, but anything that automates my life even the slightest bit, I'm buy it. I got
Me too.
Roomba,
Me too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I got an automatic cat box.
Hey, how's the Roomba work?
Box.
How's the Roomba work?
The Roomba?
Yeah.
Oh, mine works great.
Okay.
I mean, I got one of the expensive. It was like the $600 model, but I got it on Black Friday or something for like $400. Love it. I got a crazy ass cat box that costs like $300. But the second the cat poops, it rotates everything out into a bin, and so you never see poop, you never smell poop, and then it sends a notification to my phone when the poop drawer is full, so I can take it out. Like, wow. It is the most hands-off cat, like anything like that I can buy to, you know, have my coffee ready for me in the morning, clean the cat shit on its own, mop the house on its own. I don't. If I could,
you have a little iBot or whatever it's called that like goes around and cleans the floor.
I would love that. One of those, you know, I just wake up, I just sit up, and this thing would like brush my teeth for me. If I could do it, I'd do it. I love
I agree with all that. Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. Plus, it, you know, like for me, it would be food if there's a way to just.
Have it ready for you, you mean?
Like, yeah.
Oh man, because I meal prep a decent amount, but we're not usually like
Maddie,
this
let
part
me
of the
introduce
air fryer.
You to something called
my friend
DoorDash. Okay,
I know he's my worst enemy.
It's his worst enemy.
Oh my god, man! Holy shit, do I know DoorDash?
The amount of money I've spent, I actually have to stop. Like I had to actually step back because it was just stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you'll way too spend much. Real fast.
Yeah. But dude, it's just the heart of the day, like 2 to 5 is when I'm working the most, and
you want to get lunch. It right when you're done with your work. Yeah, man, I know that feel.
Yep. So a lot of missed meals on this half here. So DoorDash has been clutch. It's like I'll just pound in an order. All right, sandwiches on the way.
Weren't they actually doing like free DoorDash Premium with Game Pass for a minute?
What? Oh, I don't know. Oh, yes. I remember hearing about that.
I want to say there was something. Like, I don't know if they're still doing it, but I remember
a lot of people were collecting meals, and then DoorDash shut it down immediately because like people were just stealing from them.
Yeah, because you'd get it like with the $1 sign up or whatever.
Yeah. So, bro, I hate that I missed out on that because I saw it and I was like, yo, I'm putting an order, and it was already done. They like took it down within like 12 hours. Just like, fuck this. Number 7, nothing really to do with Xbox in a sense, but Mistwalker is a team that we've talked about a lot here on the show because they're well known for Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon RPGs on Xbox that are exclusive there that I really dig, or at least Lost Odyssey. I haven't played Blue Dragon yet. But they revealed their brand new game, which is to be headed up by Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi, and has been is it a game called Fantasian. It's a turn-based RPG with 150 handcrafted dioramas to explore. The game attempts to rethink random encounters with a dimension system, they call it, allowing players to round up encounters and then battle them all at once, which is kind of an evolution of what Blue Dragon did. You could round up like 3 encounters, and so this is letting you do like 30. Yeah, you can do like 30 here.
Cool.
And Sakaguchi says the game was inspired by Final Fantasy VI and lets you fill the shoes of Leo, who is in search of his missing father and finds himself in an alternate dimension called the Machine Realm. There's more on the story, but I just wanted to give a general synopsis of this game because the game is heading to Apple Arcade. Apple Arcade in 2021.
So strictly mobile then?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it's going to have microtransactions or anything. It looks like a just game you play on your phone or iPad or Mac computers. Like it's in that Apple ecosystem. And this is what I meant when we were talking about companies being bought up. I mean, this is Mistwalker, who, they had a lot of excellent games on Xbox. Maybe they didn't see the cash there. Make a mobile game, cheaper resources, and you get paid by Apple, who's going nowhere, and you got that backing. Yeah. So easy choice for them to keep doing what they're doing. And it looked great. Honestly, I thought it looked fun. When you rounded up all those enemies in an encounter, you could do spells that would curve in and hit like 7 in a kind of a quarter moon shape. It was really dope. But did you guys take a chance to see this at all, or should we just skip on through?
I haven't had a chance.
All right. Nothing important, really. In
that
the
system,
end of the day.
It sounds like Last Remnant?
Last Remnant.
Yeah. Yeah, Last Remnant has a thing like that where you can, as long as like one of the monsters doesn't actually touch you, you could tag up to like them all, level. But more often than not, you would end up getting absolutely shit stomped when you when you did. That game was not. It's like the Dark Souls of JRPGs. It's
really?
absurdly hard. Like you'll be in a boss fight and you're like, yeah, I'm doing well, and then all of a sudden the boss like goes to your healer, hits her in the back of the head, breaks your mage's staff, and kicks dirt in your eyes. And you're like, wait, what's happening here? This is my power fantasy. What's going on?
One game that does not let you have that power fantasy is Darkest Dungeon. Whoa.
Dude, I cannot play it. I tried again. I was like, I'm gonna get through this. I played it for like an hour and was like, I can't do this shit, man.
I can't. It crushes my spirit.
You
man.
mean because
it's such a hard game?
Right.
Yeah, it's so hard for me. All right, that's it for the news. Now it's time for our Game Pass
pick of the week.
Hell yeah! All right, you're our guest. Why don't you go first? So you sip on that Coke.
Coke Zero, man. Got to keep them calories down.
Of course.
My pick of the week. Now, truth be told, I want to say I don't usually. I was really digging through Game Pass because I don't actually use Game Pass myself because I'm already busy with so many games, and I was surprised to see this on there. But Hollow Knight. For those that haven't played Hollow Knight, it is honestly probably the best modern Metroidvania game. I would say, I'd say objectively, it's that fucking good. Hollow Knight is phenomenal. There is a sequel on deck that people, the indie community is waiting for Silksong the way Souls fans are waiting for Elden Ring. There's a lot of buzz about it, and it's a really, really charming game. The combat is incredibly tight. The world exploration is great. There's all kinds of like hidden secrets and shortcuts, and like honestly, I originally picked it up on the Switch of all places as like a travel thing. I was like, I don't know if I can get into this. And then I came back later to play it during a slow season, and it instantly became like my all-time favorite 2D platformer. It's just
wow.
It's the perfect fusion of like the platforming and the combat, and it even has like a little bit of that Souls feel to it, where you're fighting bosses and dodging constantly, but it's not quite as punishing as like old school Castlevania. Like you can take a couple hits and you have the ability to heal in combat by sacrificing a bar that you build up through beating on stuff, so it rewards aggression. Just all of the mechanics in Hollow Knight make it a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it's one I've slept on for way too long. I actually
you got it.
Started it, did the first boss, and I don't know why I put it down. It wasn't like I didn't like it or something didn't click. I don't know. I don't know why. I really don't. And so that's one that I think during this slow season, I'm carefully looking at games that I want to play because I really want to capitalize on slimming down the backlog. I think this is going to be one of them. How long is this game?
Depends how far you want to go. You can get like a solid 20 to 30 hours out of it if you're just like pushing towards the end. But if you like, there's some challenge mode shit that it will like, you'll take time to get through it. I want to say I got roughly 30 hours out of it.
Wow.
And that was, I'd say 90-ish% completion. So like a good chunk of the game.
That's way longer than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, no, it's beefy. Let me make sure I'm not
Yeah, I'm curious what the internet says here.
Let me go to how long to beat 30 to 40 hours.
Nice.
And I think the 30 was closer because obviously the Souls experience, so I'm used to the
it's funny
the boss fights.
It's funny how inaccurate that site can be at times.
God. Yeah.
I have an example for our back compat picks on why that's the case.
Oh, gotcha.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But Carrick, your pick's interesting. I've never heard of this game.
Yeah, okay, good, because I thought I had already picked this, and I looked at it like 10 times and was like, have I covered this one before? But I have talked about it a lot in various places, but it's called Ghost of a Tale. So basically, it's like an animal-based, not as hard as Dark Souls, but a little harder than Dragon's Dogma. And it's a stealth game where you're a mouse. So it's sort of like, what is that? Westwall? Is that the old animation? The old, or sorry, not the old animation. The old book, I think, was Westwall, which was based on all animals, or Rats of Nim, Secret of Nim, that kind of stuff. And you're doing all kinds of stealth and disguise, and you can play music to like cause the bad guys to go and fall off cliffs and all this kind of stuff. It is awesome. Huh. It's a little bit like a I mean, because it's smaller, I'm trying to think of a game that it would be like, but imagine a bit of Plague Tale Innocence with like a Dark Souls. So there's some open spots, but most of it's within a castle or within, this particular place called Dwindling Heights is where it's based in. But it's fucking beautiful. In fact, for a while, it was considered like one of the premier indie titles to use some of the new graphical effects. And so when you see
I've never heard of this, but this actually looks pretty cool.
It's incredible. And it's like, I keep telling people about it because whenever I stream it or whenever somebody sees it, usually they'll pop in the Discord and be like, well, again, like he just said, I didn't even know this was a thing. So yeah, Ghost of a Tale, it's awesome. Game Pass, don't have to pay for it.
Wow.
So definitely, if you like any of that kind of stuff, that's the game for you.
It kind of reminds me of, and I don't know why. I think it's just its art style. It just reminds me a lot of a old Xbox game, like original Xbox. But its HUD actually is very Souls-like. That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a product of its time.
It's a very different game.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
You've played it to completion. You like it a lot?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I love it.
Nice.
I think it's actually one of the better games of that kind that we have from not a premier developer. And I can't remember the name of the developer, but I remember I got it from them, prior to it being done and all that, and got to check it and watch it go through its steps. And yeah, it's well worth it.
Yeah, I'm seeing now they were saying available now for PC, Xbox, Switch, and PS4 in digital and physical editions. This was January 25th, so this is a relatively new game?
Yeah, no. It came
out in 2016.
It came out in 2016, but I think the Switch version is new, or maybe the PS4. You know how it is where it's like certain platforms, they re-release it to everybody. That's pretty much what's going on here. Okay. But it's well worth checking out.
Wow, this looks really neat.
It's gnarly.
Good pick. My pick for Game Pass pick of the week is Shadow Warrior 2. So I was reading some of our comments, and one person in particular requested more multiplayer stuff, and I tend to, just because I think Game Pass is so great, if you got a couple of buddies who got Xbox, like one of my friends just got Series X, so we were digging into co-op games, and there's a lot there. Shadow Warrior is a series that a lot of people sleep on, and I don't really know quite why. I think it's because its releases are very staggered, so they come, people talk about them, and they just go as quickly as they came. So for those who don't know, Shadow Warrior 2, very much dripping with like dark, awful humor, dick jokes. Like you play as a guy named Lo Wang, and he's got a sword, he's got guns, you're cutting people apart. It's very action-packed, first-person shooter slasher. And there's just a lot happening. You can play it online with a friend if you want. It's very arcadey in a sense, but there is a story that you do follow. It's a pretty game. And honestly, I think I'd be doing it a disservice if I talked it up as this Marvel. It's just a very, very fun game to play gameplay wise, because it's how chaotic it gets, especially with a friend. The difficulty can ramp up from time to time, and a lot of what's going to keep you hooked, I think, is that combination with some really dirty jokes, man. Like it's really out there. So highly recommend giving the Shadow Warrior series a look. They're working on Shadow Warrior 3, so if you end up liking 2, there is more on the way. And of course, John Meehan wrote in saying, "Hey Duke dudes, I cannot be silent any longer. I have a pick for a Game Pass pick of the week, Lonely Mountains Downhill. It's a game I played for a week, but I would not have even thought of it if not for Game Pass," which is what we love to hear. It's a low polygonal mountain biking game that is one of those games that has easy to learn but hard to master difficulty to it. It sucked me in with its enticing gameplay loop, time trials, and different bike and gear unlocks, the rich sound design of surrounding nature, and the sound of your bike sliding down a mountain with no music is something I don't see very often. The gameplay doesn't get frustrating. It's honestly just fun to crash into a tree, rock, or fall to your death. You sound like a masochist. Anyway, hope you guys can check it out. I'm digging the show. It made me want to check out the YouTube content. Keep pounding that Xbox drum. Thank you, John, for your write-in. With that, gentlemen, unless there's more, do you want to get into backwards compat pick of the week?
Yes, indeed.
The backwards.
Right. Let's keep rolling. In the spirit of you being our guest, Cowboy, by all means, first again.
Well, I wanted to go with Armored Core, but unfortunately, we haven't seen backwards compatibility or launch since the Xbox 360 days, which makes me die a little bit inside. So instead, we're going with Rock Band. I was playing some Rock Band the other night. Believe it or not, my microphone and the guitar from Xbox 360 still work with the Series X. Load times are insanely fast.
Oh, right.
And probably the craziest thing, they are still licensing music for the game.
Really?
Yeah, they just added some more Taking Back Sunday and Say Anything. So I got to relive my emo punk, high school days again. That was fun.
So you sing on stream?
Oh yeah. And then I promptly got whacked with the copyright hammer. And they're like, no fun allowed.
You were too good. That's a compliment at that point.
I actually have, we have one stream. Usually I can delete the stream afterwards, but this is twice now I've gotten hit with the active takedown. Once was from I was doing Disney karaoke and I got just straight yanked, which isn't surprising with Disney. I'm not sure exactly what yoinked me this time. I think we were on a food break and I had Sturgill Simpson playing, and I think that might have been it. But yeah, I mean, whatever. Rock Band's still fun, especially it's just nice to have a couple beers and jam out.
I haven't played one of those games in years, man.
Yeah, it's like a vintage thing now too. It's because it's not just the game. You got to have the instruments that work. And trying to find, I actually lucked out. Somebody had a Rock Band guitar they brought. We had like a white elephant thing we do for Christmas. And 2 years ago, someone brought it. I guess they bought it for their kid and left it in a closet and forgot about it. And I was like, this is a brand new Xbox Rock? What the fuck? I was like, I'm taking this. Like, I was ready to fight people at that white elephant to get that gift. I was like, you do not fucking steal this from me. This is mine. I needed a new one for a while. Such a good pickup.
That's just probably so much money now. I bet. They're
hard to find. Like a new one in box. I don't even know if you can.
Yeah. So I mean, like if you go on eBay, they're probably a couple hundred. I wouldn't be shocked.
We'll see.
I love the idea though that every landfill probably has 60,000 of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I remember that's how I was at a white elephant party with a squatty potty. Have you guys ever heard of those?
That sounds like something for like kids to learn how to poop.
It's like this weird. It's this weird little. So when you're shitting, it's this little stool. So you put your legs up into your chest.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
We had someone watch our house while we were in Japan. And I got home and I'm like, what the fuck is this thing in front of my toilet? And she was like, that's my squatty potty. I'm like, why were you using like you had a guest room? Why were you in the fucking
Why were you in a master bathroom?
Yeah, like, get out of my fucking bathroom.
Pissing on your toilet, messing with your shit. That's weird.
She was sleeping in your bed probably, man.
Probably.
We're not friends with her anymore because she was terrible at taking care of the cats. We found mold growing in the fucking food dishes when we got home. I'm like, how are you an adult that let this happen? Anyway, that's a whole different story. We'll save that slander.
Back
to Maddie's squatty potty adventures.
Oh yeah. So I was at a party and I identified the shape and I went, I think that's what I think it is. I've been hearing about this thing, and so I went for it and I pulled it out and I was very defensive of it. And by the way, this is like my girlfriend's friends. Like I was joining their party and I was protecting this thing, man. They probably didn't leave a great impression, but I was like, I gotta come home.
Doesn't matter if you need the squatty potty, you gotta fight for it, dude. You gotta fight.
That's
for
what
that.
I'm saying, man.
If
I was
you
ready to
think
scrap.
the squatty potty is life changing, wait until you try a bidet for the first time.
No, I've used bidet.
Okay.
We can't install it in our bathroom because of the way the pipes are. Like, there's like a whole cabinet that's like blocking where the.
No, yeah, that's a
pipes
requirement for me now.
Yeah.
As soon as we get a new house, first thing I'm doing is getting an electrician to put in a GFI outlet and put a new bidet in.
All my friends have one, so I make sure I go in their house. It's like a ritual.
Like,
yeah.
hello there,
yeah, I was like, yo, I can't be
your boy
cleaner than
Maddie.
at your house,
I'm
it
back.
seems. So I'm gonna embrace your bidet, and it's nice. Yeah, I envy people who have bidets. I would like to set one up. I bought one and everything. I just can't though. Sucks. Really unfortunate. Carrick, you're up next, man.
Yeah, Boom Boom Rocket, another musical-based game. But so this was one of the best, if not the best, rhythm game that I've ever played. What it does is it takes music and to the beat, you have to time fireworks, and the fireworks are like over the the Empire State Building or the some other landmark, and it plays all kinds of music from like current music to classical. Mostly it's classical. And it's phenomenal, man. And the harder you go, the more, of course, you have to be on time with the line of the music, but the bigger the explosions and fireworks are. And it's just a particle mess. If you've ever played like Tempest 2000 or any of those older games that people remake and throw particles on top of, it's like Neo too, in a way, where it's just particles. And so these arrows come up and you have to go like up, down, up, left, down, and go with it. And then it starts adding in the letters and it'll do like the Valkyries and all these really complex songs. And you're like, A, B, 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 A, it's so fucking good. And the music is awesome. And when you get to a high point, when you get to this combo, it basically takes this graphical effect of like neon and glass and put it all over the world. And you have like a power up, and it's eye candy, man. It is. I mean, I still have a 360 hooked up for that, Skylanders, and a couple other games, but mostly I would say we play that on it.
Interesting. I never heard of this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
There's some rhythm games that just work, man.
Yeah,
they just feel great.
I would have never assumed a fireworks-based rhythm game would have worked either, but it's.
And you can play this on like your Series X.
I play this on the Series X actually, because that was one of the first backwards compatible games I believe I checked. I have the 360 on because we have our save game, or not the save game, but the it was either the DLC or the customized music on the 360. But I have played it on the Xbox Series X.
That's insane. I love how they'll have that, but like you brought up Armored Core Cowboy, and it's like that's
I
just
want one
not
so
there.
bad. That's the only reason I still have my Xbox 360. I was thinking about like giving it to my nephew. Like,
you mean and you have the, what do you call it too? I
have like all the games and shit for it.
No, I mean I'm sorry. The you have the controller for that game. Wasn't Armored Core the one with the big controller, or was that the other Xbox one with the 200 buttons and the dual $350 game?
There might have been,
because there's a mech game where you have two controllers and then no.
Yeah, I think that was like Mech Warrior.
But
a Mech Warrior
it's
launch.
not that. It's hang on, huge MS controller or robot game.
Very general search. I'm sure you'll find something.
Steel Battalion. So Steel Battalion was about 300 when it came out, and it's a massive controller that's two joysticks and real buttons like eject, and you have to actually enter in codes to eject. And if you ejected, it would destroy your save game on purpose. So you would be playing, and you'd have to decide, do I want to eject? And if you do, you got to save a little bit of stuff, but it would destroy your save game. And you had to actually enter, to start the ship, you had to be like 1, 3, 4, 9, 5, 9. And it'd give you a different code to like start up the engines in perfect time. Otherwise, it would like be slower. It was awesome for a console game. Mind-blowing for a console game.
Interesting. My backwards compat pick of the week is interesting. It's Dragon Age 2. So
what?
Yeah. So this one is educated, by the way. This is not an impulsive Sonic Unleashed pick. So last year, I didn't even do this intentionally. I did a 2020 review for Inquisition, went through all its DLC again, because I hadn't played it since 2014. And then I wanted to make up some ground. So I was like, let me go into Origins. So I did that this past winter. And then I'm sitting there and I realized, well, I haven't played Dragon Age 2 since before Inquisition came out. And so what I'm doing is updating my mentality on all these games, on where do I stand with them now, because they were so long ago. Like, I mean, there's things I like about Inquisition now that I previously didn't. And now, same thing with 2. 2 is still definitely the weakest game in the trilogy. But the quick load times on the Series X help a lot, because you're going to be going all over Kirkwall. There's a lot of load times, and they're just very snap. Like, they're done in a second. So it benefits a lot from that, because if people don't remember, Dragon Age 2 doesn't have what Origins or even Inquisition had, where you have this hub area, like your camp or your castle, which has all your party members. You have to go to their houses and talk to them, and it's really disjointed and weird. This game has the benefit of those load times, so to speak. And then on top of that, I gotta say there's some lore things that happen in its story that make it a lot more important to Dragon Age 4 than I realized, with the Red Lyrium and so on and so forth. And so I thought, hey, this actually, if you're excited for Dragon Age, this game, this is where we get into the how long to beat. I look it up and it says 50 hours on how long to beat, or like 40 something hours. And I thought to myself, what? It makes no sense. Like, it was way long. And I thought, didn't I beat this game in, like, I'd say 30? So it's split into 3 acts. I'm already like halfway through Act 3, nearing the end, and I have 19 hours. So it's not nearly that long. I've done all my side shit I've encountered. I've done all the companion stuff. I'll probably be done with it, I'd say, in like 25 hours or so. But it's been a fun romp. Definitely flawed. You can tell they were trying to make what if we took Mass Effect and Commander Shepard and then did that with Dragon Age?
See, it's because you're saving time with those faster loads.
Yeah, you're not wrong though, dude. That I guarantee I've saved probably an hour in total with the amount of times you have to load from area to area in that game. It's done. It's snapped. So I would not be surprised if that shaved off a couple hours by the time I'm done with this game. But yeah, Dragon Age 2 is my pick. It's not phenomenal. It's very flawed. It's got a way more interesting villain character though than Inquisition. And it challenges some of the philosophies of different races in the game. And I thought it was, for a game that was made in 18 months, a little bit better than I remember in a couple ways. Still flawed, but might be worth a little retrospective look if any of you are curious.
I'm curious to see how the combat will change in 4, because I remember...
That's me too.
I remember looking at Inquisition footage and like seeing stuff that I didn't remember and being like, oh, maybe I should go back and play this. And then I like went and like watched footage of me playing it and being like, oh yeah, this combat was kind of janky.
Yeah. It doesn't feel any better nowadays. Like, I mean, granted, I did a 2-handed build, so I was just lugging this thing around
and smash stuff. Yeah.
But even if there was enemies that were way too spongy. It wasn't balanced that well. The builds were fun, but even then, certain ones benefited more than others. If you're doing any type of warrior class, I think the game's significantly less fun. If you're a rogue or a mage, that's where you're really just chunking people and targeting weaknesses. But I'm curious what they're gonna do with DA4 as well. I hope they kind of keep that hybrid of action and tactics like Inquisition, but they just clean it up. That's my hope. All right, we got our PC deals of the week, and then after that, it's ending questions, and we're out of here. So let's get it started. Like I said, I found this great Reddit thread called Game Deals Reddit, and my gosh, man, like it's been really the savior of this section of the show. Got a couple of comments that people really liked some of the additions here, so we'll just kind of rip right through these. Number 1 is Humble Choice March 2021. So they have Control, XCOM Chimera Squad, Elix, Kingdom 2 Crowns, WWE 2K Battlegrounds, Hotshot Racing, My Dog Barking, Peaky Blinders Mastermind, Cyberhook, Pester Quest, Wildfire, and Boreal Blade, as well as Ageless. So you can get 3 of these games for $15. For $20, it says, how did this... $12 for Classic for 12 games is how it's written out. So anyway, point being is you can get a chunk of these games for $15, which I thought was a pretty good deal. So you could get like Control, Chimera Squad, and Elix for $15, which
not bad.
That's a steal.
Yeah,
not bad at all. Right now, GMG is having what they call the best ever sale. They were celebrating Square Enix Day, where they had Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition for $2. Just Cause 3 XXL edition for $4, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration for $5, and plenty more. And they're rotating that sale every day. So the Square Enix day happened, and they're doing like a different publisher each day. So check out GMG. They have a lot of really good game sales going on. I picked the Win Games Store as well because they had a Fat Shark sale going on. Carrick, you and I have talked highly about the Vermintide series. So Vermintide 1 and 2 are both available for $7 respectively. And then for the parts, the only great deal I really saw this week, it was kind of slim pickings, was the AMD Ryzen 5 5600X6 core with 3.7 gigahertz per core at $300 over at Newegg. So not too bad for that. But overall, pretty good pickings on the game front. Hardware front, not as much.
I think it'll be like that for a while.
Yeah,
probably,
hardware
right?
it's just rough, man.
Yeah, especially there are deals on like new stuff, but it's, as I'm sure people should know when listening to this, it's gonna come and go. Like it's gonna go out as quickly as it gets listed because people are like really looking forward to it. All right, time to start wrapping this up. We got 5 ending questions from you, the audience. Once again, you can submit on patreon.com/laststandmedia like Robbie Nauman did. Continuing on from last week, Robbie says, "Hey, Duke boys, after last week's Squirt comment, I no doubt portrayed myself as an absolute lunatic. With that out of the way, I do have a normal question. I enjoy hearing your responses to questions that help to get us know you guys better. So what type of music are you guys into? Do you have any favorite artists, albums, or songs in particular? Music is an essential part of existence, in my opinion. So I'm curious what you guys are into, as I'm always looking for new stuff to listen to. Thanks again for the fantastic show, and may the squirt be with you."
Good man.
The squirt?
This
It's like
drink
soda.
squirt.
He wrote in
fan of
an
it.
extensive breakdown of what happens with squirt production. I said before anything, before I read this, you're a maniac. Like, you just need to know that. So music, boys, music, the flavor of life, if you will. For me, I'm a man who says anything but country, please. But more specifically, I like game soundtracks, and I know that sounds very like, oh, of course, it's an eye roller of an answer. But if I shared some of the Japanese stuff I listen to, Robbie, maybe you dig it. I gotta get their name. It's Gesuno Okami Otome, I think is how it goes. And their shit's fire. I don't know what they're saying, but it's fire. So feel free to look that up. But that would be some of the music I listen to. What about you, gents?
Honestly, I'm so busy these days. I don't have time. Like, the only time I have music on is when I'm driving, really. And it's just the radio.
Not even the gym?
Mm-hmm. I mean, at the gym,
when you're working out?
It's usually the trainers just playing stuff. I mean, it's kind of, I kind of listen to generic stuff. So, Foo Fighters, Chili Peppers. If I had to pick music, let's give it to some anime songs. There's some dope ass anime OPs. Which, if you, I don't know how much of a weeb you are, but there's a show, really hit show, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, yeah.
And the ending theme for the first arc, called Lost in Paradise, song is a fucking banger.
Yeah, dude, that show's soundtrack. Oh
like
my God,
you
bro.
Can't listen to that song without your butt starting just moving in your chair. You're like, I'm ready to go. It's a good song. So Lost in Paradise. Look it up.
Carrick, what about you? You look like a man of many genres.
Yeah, I would say pretty much all of them. For artists, I like Ronald Jenkins, who writes electric music online. He's done a couple game soundtracks, but he's very synthesizer heavy. I like one of my favorite bands of all time is probably Dance with the Dead, which is like a techno Rob Zombie mix. Super hard guitars, but mixed with a lot of synth. Retro wave on YouTube. Like, I would say I have retro wave on like 99% of my day. I like everything. I like some country. It just depends. And I like pop. Dude, I'll listen. Like, you'll hear me listening to fucking... My mixtapes are weird. It'll be like Fleetwood Mac and Rob Zombie right after. And to me, it makes sense. One of my friends was listening. He's like, dude, whatever possessed you to mix these? And I'm like, well, it's because this song has this. And so to me, it makes sense. I listen to pretty much anything. The only thing I would say I don't like is when you start getting that really, really, really heavy metal. There's like, I would say Unleash the Archers. She's a good singer, and she has a secondary who sings that way. But I'm also a big vocalist fan. Huge vocalist. It just depends, man. I'll listen to anything. Stevie Nicks is fucking awesome. But then the next thing I'll be doing is listen to like Breaking Benjamin or whatever. And like some old Halo song,
too.
and I'll just be like, yeah, you know, and I don't care, man. I'm one of those people that you'll hear people like diss on somebody for liking something. Dude, classical is one of my favorite things of all time, and I know I don't look, but like classical to me is fucking phenomenal. So music, like you said, is life.
Your mixtape thing reminds me of my friend. What we used to make, like, we called them hockey mixtapes. So like before a game, we'd like just play them in the car. And I remember my friend showed up with, I shit you not, the worst fucking mixtape I've ever heard in my life. Like, he had Avril Lavigne mixes in there. He had like a Star Wars dub rap. I was like, dude, what is this? I was like, this is. He still gets pissed when I bring it up because I'm like, this was fucking terrible.
He
like,
had a bet that y'all were gonna lose that game, and he's trying to just mess with your brains.
I do love. Speaking of that kind of stuff, do you know what I do like though? Those inspirational 1980s songs from like Karate Kid. You're the best around. Like you're the best around. All fuck.
Yeah,
I have that shit.
chants,
I like to work out in utter silence so I can hear the misery. I admit I'm not a big music fan in the gym or when doing martial arts. But if that shit, if somebody is gonna bring something, like Cadiz will bring over all those old 1980s montage. If it's a montage song from like the 1980s, everybody needs a montage. I'm like,
push it to the limit.
Yeah, dude, that's what they would say too. Go listen. Like, it was the dumbest, most. Gravity Falls, the cartoon, one of the best cartoons ever made. Gravity Falls did one that was called Never Don't Stop Believing. And at first you're like, never don't stop. Wait a minute, that makes no sense. And that's exactly what those old 80s songs did, was they made no sense when they would talk. You know, I love them. They get me juiced.
The last Nate writes in, hey dudes, last week you talked about Xbox games that weren't backwards compatible, and yet I wanted to shout at the Saboteur. Luckily I have a disc copy, but that is one game I'd love to play on my Series X with enhancements. Do you guys have any memories of this game? Do you guys have any favorite games from the unfortunately defunct Pandemic Studios? Thanks and take care. Boy, do I ever. Holy shit, man. I fucking love them. What about you, gents? I mean, I for me, like Battlefront, Lord of the Rings Conquest.
Mercenaries 2 is my big one.
Pandemic Studios. Who were they?
Mercenaries 2 was like, it had its issues, but I really liked that game. I wasn't a big fan of.
For me, man.
I wasn't a huge. It's not that I was a huge fan of Saboteur. I think it was so long ago that I don't remember a ton of Saboteur. I know it was good.
I want to say, yeah, it was good. It was very.
It was just so long ago.
It was ahead of the Ubisoft checkbox open world, so it kind of got away with some stuff that if you played it now, you'd go, I don't really get it. Really, the art style would carry it a lot.
The black and white switching over to color when you saved locations, right? Yeah,
so good, so good. But for me, my pick for Pandemic would 100% be Battlefront 2. I mean, I remember as a kid, you know, word of mouth learning about
Star Wars
game
one?
In math class. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I remember learning about that in math class. Like I said, word of mouth. He said you could play as a clone trooper and you could go on the battlefield. And as a kid, you know, we don't have the YouTube videos. We don't have any of the magazines. Or I didn't have the magazines, I should say. And so I'm just hearing about that going, no way. And it was one of the few experiences growing up where you buy it, you put it in, and you're like, oh my God.
And it's as good as,
wanted.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
And like, it's actually, you're there on the battlefield, the battle cries are like what you heard in the movies, and it just pulls you in, and the Galactic Conquest, dude, they were on to something, man. The fact that series still lives on to this day is a testament to what they did.
And
So
Xbox
good.
LAN, you would throw your Xboxes together, and you could play that at somebody's house with a bunch of TV. Yeah, so that's how we played that in Serious Sam, was on a network switch, and then you plug everybody's system in, and you play locally but split screen on your own TVs. So good.
That's so awesome.
Or the Halo LAN parties. That was the big thing for us.
Dude, I gotta speak just briefly because I don't want to, but I got one of those combiners which takes multiple HDMIs and splits it onto the same screen, and I have a huge projector, so I have a 140-inch screen, and we were setting up Halo. But what's cool is you can actually do different systems and everything. So it's like two people playing Halo, one person playing Skylanders, and another person playing like fucking Street Fighter. And it was so cool on this. Like, technology is so far beyond like what I even thought of. I didn't even think that was going to be possible. And then I looked online, and they're like, yeah, man, we can fucking do that. It's so cool to see what you can do.
I would love to just see a Switch. I just want to be able to have an HDMI running from all three of my consoles into a Switch, into a single input ML in my Elgato. And
That's what I have.
Not. You're gonna have to send me your hardware because
I have 5 into 1.
Yeah, well, every splitter I've looked at that would do that, it fucks up in some way. It ends up dropping
Handshake.
the audio.
Yeah, handshake.
Or there's some
yeah, I'll give
issue
you mine. This one's a tiny one, and it's from it's one of the few items I've reviewed, and it even does fake EDID. So if you want to pretend that you have 4.2 2.1 HDMI, you want to pretend it's a different TV, you can flip a switch and it'll copy your TV from one TV to another. You can do crazy shit with it, and it was only like $40. But yeah, I'll send you guys a link.
I get behind my consoles and move an HDMI between them.
Oh yeah, that's rough. I remember those days.
I do that. Yeah.
Or green screen.
PS5.
This handshake issue.
The PS5 HDMI that came with my console broke, so I have to use my Xbox One. I have to, whenever I'm like recording something for a respective console or just playing it, I literally have to like pop it out and put it into the back of the
swap between
console.
all. I mean, they're easy to get to. I could just reach and pop them, but
still having to do it is a pain in the ass. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Furry Purple Haze writes in next. Salutations, gentlemen. I know Matty has mentioned in a previous episode that him and his girlfriend are starting to play Elder Scrolls Online together. I myself have no doubt put hundreds of hours into it. Quick tip, ESO Plus is worth it. It's the way to go if you're going to play. More inventory space, gold every month, free access to DLC, etc. I find ESO Plus to be very generous for what you pay for with its subscription. 2 questions for you guys. First question is, what are you and your girlfriend going to be playing as class/race? So I'll just answer that real quick. I am a high elf necromancer. She chose wood elf and then did a Templar, which is hilarious. So she's new to Elder Scrolls and all that stuff, and it's like our first time really trying something like this together, so I'm really excited about it.
I'm sorry, I was answering somebody.
Night.
I wanted to ask you, what game are you talking about, Matty?
Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, sorry.
And then the second question we can all answer is, what are good couch co-op games that, he says, my 8-year-old and I could play together on Game Pass or backwards compatibility, as long as there isn't a lot of cursing or killing of actual people, the flood being fair game, of course, or nudity. We are going through the Master Chief Collection campaign and having tons of fun. I love sharing my own personal nostalgia with my kids. I take both of your recommendations seriously and has led to me playing/enjoying games I would have never played or tried for a second time, such as KOTOR, Slay the Spire, thank you Maddie, Donut County, thank you Carrick, and Rage 2, just to name a few. Thank you guys for all you do. I look forward to your show every week. So thank you. A couch co-op game. I mean,
definitely Disney Infinity. Disney Infinity, now when you buy it, you get every character because they stopped the toy line. So that's definitely one I would say. Not Skylanders because you still have to buy the toys, even though it's like one of my favorite games. But yeah, I would say that for sure. And then
Marvel Ultimate Alliance?
Yeah, Marvel Alliance.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Cowboy? Sorry.
No, I'm just trying to think of couch co-ops. I feel like, I mean, I know a couple that are good on the Switch.
Go for it.
I mean,
this is Game Pass or back compat.
Heave Ho is. I mean, it's a cheap game. It's like $10 if you have a Switch. It's called Heave Ho. You literally, each of your buttons represents a hand. So you're like, and you need to like build human bridges. So it's a it's a good cooperative game. It's also a good like you have a bunch of friends over and you're all drinking kind of game. But it works just as well with kids.
There's on Game Pass, I just remembered there's a game called Moving Out where I've never played it, but it's good. It's couch co-op and you have to just move furniture out of a house, and I guess the best comparison would be Overcooked. So I would say definitely give that a look. That seems very kid friendly, and it's something you two play together and you have to work together to like do a thing. So she would probably have a good time with that.
I mean, this one isn't for the kids, but since he mentioned Slay the Spire, you need to check out Monster Train, which is also on Game Pass now. Monster Train, I love Slay the Spire, and then I played Monster Train, and it was like that meme where you're throwing one thing in the garbage. And like,
yeah, Monster Train's pretty legit.
Monster Train is so good. And they have DLC coming up for it soon.
I've looked at Monster Train so many times, man. I've looked at it so many times. I gotta play it.
Monster Train's good. It makes me feel like that way. I feel that way with this Loop Hero game, where I've thrown everything else away because I didn't think I was going to like Loop Hero. It comes out like tomorrow, and I don't even like the genre of game. And I was like, I'll check it out. And dude, there's a reason why like so many people are tweeting about that game. Like it is like a SNES. I don't even know how to describe it. You'd have to check it out.
Clara was talking about it.
Yeah, it is crazy. She actually asked me to check it out, and I was like, well, I don't know if I can. She's like, no problem, because it looks like a SNES game, and to be honest, that's not my favorite graphic representation, to be fair. I started playing that game. So basically, long story short, it is a loop. There's a fire. and you go, and each time you pass by the fire, you can either go home and save all your stuff or continue the loop, right? And each day is also slightly separate. As you defeat enemies, you get cards that you can put down as terrain in the world, and they start adding monsters or adding pluses for the night. So as you wake up the next morning and you're still traveling, new monsters will come out depending on the cards you've started to collect by killing monsters. And it's this constant thing where, like, at the very end, you'll be like, wait, what if I throw down, like, all this healing stuff and all these monsters, so right before I come to the bonfire, I can see how much damage I have left and maybe decide then if I want to go one more. Because once you start going, you can't go home. You'll just be dead. It's so weird, but holy shit. And it even looks jank. You look at it and you're like, that ain't a pretty game. Not to be rude, it ain't a pretty.
No, like, yeah, that's. I was looking at it and I was
it's
like,
all
oh,
about,
man,
yeah. It's sort of like that person that's got a really good attitude. You're like, you've got a good attitude. Why am I single? Well, I don't know. Yeah, that game, man. You guys should check it out. That guy. Well, I'm sorry, but you know, some games are ugly. So are some people. But you should check it out, man. It's very good. Very good game.
I'll give it a look. A lot of games to give it a look.
Yeah.
Adam Barnes writes in next. What's up, fellas? I'm answering the call for more questions to be submitted to Defining Duke. However, I don't have an Xbox. Sorry, I do have a PC, though, and I play Siege exclusively on it. Yeah, big dick energy. Very nice, Adam. Anyway, to the point, Mr. Matty, you're a New Yorker, and I have a question. Here in Australia, Domino's is starting to do this, quote, puff crust, end quote. I ordered it thinking it would be some type of fun novelty crust around the edges. By the way, I don't know why you do that. Only to realize, to my horror, that the entire base of the pizza was puff pastry. It was incredibly thin, flaky, and just really fucking weird. Anyway, my question is, how do you feel about puff pastry pizza? Does it offend you as much as I suspect it does? Carrick, I've been a fan of yours for a couple of years now, and Maddie, big fan of yours since you started doing work at LSM, and I've been a vocal advocate that you get your own podcast for some time now. Glad to have you both around. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
I'm looking up these puff pastry things.
I had to do the same thing, right?
I believe it's like those pastries you used to buy in the can and you pop them open, the Pillsbury. I think he's talking about where the underside is the flaky, like a Pillsbury almost.
Yeah, I don't like the kind of pan pizza that's rectangular. And I'm looking at pictures now, and some of these are literally like a crust fully around the sides. Like, it's not just, you know how you usually have the open ends of cheese and there's crust on the back end towards the edge of the box or whatever. This is like full on. I don't know how I feel about this.
I see what they're trying to do. That looks all right. So Giorno has they have something like this where it's a croissant type pizza.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And it's amazing. It's like the most buttery, flaky goodness you'll ever eat. And it looks, from the picture I'm seeing, it looks like they were trying to go for that, but it resulted in a crust that's incredibly thin. Which
that DiGiorno, that kind of looks like heart attack stuff. I like that.
It is. Trust me, I just got my cholesterol levels done. They weren't pretty. Yeah, that was DiGiorno. Well, I was snowed in for a week, so I kind of fucked up. I was snowed in for a week, and all I did was like eat frozen meals and pizza, and then I had a cholesterol test the week after, and they're like, "Yeah, these levels don't look good," and I was like, "Yeah, I think I know why." Just had Alfredo like 3 days in a row. Pretty sure it's like illegal.
Showing up with sweatpants on that are stretched out and shit. You're like, oh, you think that's bad? You should see the scale, man.
Yeah, no, I'm in thick boy territory. I need to slim back down. Yeah, that pizza looks. Are you all here? Let me share the picture. Is there a chat feature in here?
Yeah, on the right side. You can just drop a link in there.
There we go. Yeah, this is.
I want to see what you're looking at. Instagram. Wow. Okay, let's see.
I just googled it, and that's the picture that came up.
That's what they're doing.
That looks terrible.
Yeah.
That's no. They say Puff is back. There's a reason it went.
Yeah.
Now see.
yeah. Does not look good. It looks so thin.
Dude, that crust at the top, it's a hole, man.
Yeah.
You're biting air there. What?
It's just empty. Compared to like the croissant one, the croissant is like layer.
This has 1,000 likes.
People are weird. I don't think it looks good. Yeah.
No, yeah. Okay, there were other puff pizzas that were homemade. I was looking at it, I thought, this actually doesn't look bad. Domino's, though? No. See, here's the thing. I've been debating with my friends for a while. I don't know where you guys stand on this. I'm not a Pizza Hut guy at all. Like, as a New Yorker especially, I will just get
Pizza Hut's
local.
mostly,
I love
mostly
Pizza
hot
Hut.
garbage.
I love it.
Yeah. But like the $20 box is what I'm advocating for here. Have you guys ever had that shit?
Yeah.
The
20
pasta, the wings.
I think their pasta is strangely good too. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like I don't.
Strangely
Yes,
good.
I got a brother in arms.
Pizza Hut
Yes.
pasta?
Yes. Oh my god, dude. $20 box. It's the best hot garbage.
I didn't
you can
even
have,
know
man.
that
Like,
there was a pasta from them, and I think one time I wanted them, but I didn't want a whole pizza, and I found their pasta, and I ordered 2 types. They have like, you know, they have normal, they have an Alfredo, they have 3 or 4, and I remember getting it and being like, dude, I could feed this to like my family. They'd never know. Like, it was actually good. It wasn't
Hey, I
like
made
fast
some.
food stuff you would expect.
See, a Pizza Hut was like my second job in high school.
Oh,
And
no, see, you can't go back.
Yeah, I don't know.
My dad owned a fish
And
plant.
I know
can't eat
how
fish.
those pizzas
Like,
are made.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. My mom worked at a school. I dropped out, you know.
Did you actually?
No, I didn't.
That's
I
what
just
I'm
thought I'd get a laugh out of character. He had
just
the most
think-
steely
no,
gaze of all
I
time.
was because I was like, I don't think that's true, but I didn't know exactly if you meant some other term of dropping out. But I was like, I don't think he did.
Dude, the fact that you were thinking there, I couldn't tell. I would have thought you lagged out. You just went.
No.
stared.
It was
I just-
like I told you.
Yeah.
Remember, I told you that everybody at my job didn't know that when I stare, that means I'm listening intently. And they were always like, he hates me. It's like, no, when I'm looking at you,
No, I don't think
I
you hate
care.
me. You love
If I'm
me.
not looking at you, I don't give a fuck. It's just like, no, I was like, did he drop out? I didn't. You'd never do that.
No.
In fact, actually, watch this. I know some history about Maddie. Here we go. You did
Oh, shit,
stop
okay.
going to college, though, to do YouTube. And then your mom surprised you by asking if you'd be happy going back to college or doing YouTube. Is that right? Something along those
Correct?
lines?
Yeah.
I listen,
finished
man.
up.
I listen to you. I don't
Hell
let
yeah.
most other things just come in and out, but I listen to you. I'm there.
Let's go.
I'm there
Makes me
for you,
happy.
man.
He's there. He's there for that, but not for the farts. No.
Yeah, I
no
was gonna
fucking
say,
way.
man,
If he
like-
farted, he would never be my friend again. We'd be like,
Gone. We're done.
You're
We're
out.
friends.
Dude, I got some bad news for you.
I'm gonna eat Pizza Hut and come over.
Yeah, I was about to say, you want to get hot together? Let's go. All right, last question of the show comes from Derek Beek. Howdy. How do you guys decide to stop playing a game you aren't enjoying? I recently just played about 6 hours of Ni no Kuni and realized I should probably just stop playing the game because I wasn't enjoying it. Too often I start games and I feel compelled to beat them even if I'm not enjoying myself. Like how I played 106 hours of Persona 5 even though I stopped enjoying myself 20 hours in. Boys, we need to help this guy.
So, all right, I think it's easier for us as content creators because if something sucks, we're like, it sucks. But I think the biggest thing is you need to realize the value of your time.
Yes.
Like taking the Persona example. You know, Persona, you said you got 106 hours. Let's assume you bought it new. So 60. So we'll say 65 because you know, for taxes and all that. So 106 divided by 65 means that for every 1.63 hours of time that you spent, you effectively got $1 of value.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
nuts. So
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, and on the flip side, you could be like, yeah, but think about the how great it is. You know, I'm getting a lot of value out of this game, but it goes both ways because you got to think about your enjoyment. Like if I'm not like, I mean, like Carrick was talking about with the Medium, I got 3 episodes into the Medium, was like, I'm not having fun with this. And I dropped it then and there because there's other games you could be playing. There's other things you could be doing. There's, you know, you could be working. You could be doing hobbies. You could be taking a nap, fishing, fucking, doing whatever you want. But instead, if you're forcing yourself to get through that game just because you paid for it, I mean, hell, you could have gone to even assuming like, you know, $10 an hour job, you could have gone to work for 6 hours, made back the money, and been like, fuck it, I'm done with this game.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think it's tougher for the audience at times to drop a game than us because, you know, sometimes we get the code. I try to buy all my games I get codes for, but some people don't have, you know, disposable income or whatever, and so I get why sometimes I don't know what your financial situation is like, Derek, where maybe you feel more compelled to hold on to a game because you've bought it and you want to get the most out of it. But yeah, I think it really does come to just valuing your free time. I mean, the way I look at it is even with money out of the equation, if you didn't like it 20 hours in, you spent 86 hours doing something you didn't like. No one should do that ever. Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, even there's free to play games that are great, man. There's some great MMOs, DC Universe Online. You could buy ESO and that's like $10 and you don't have to pay a sub fee for that. There's so many other ones out there.
Game Pass has like an infinite amount of games you could be spending those 106 hours in.
But what bothers me is the not this guy, obviously, but some of these motherfuckers are the ones who come in and tell me that they can't stand my opinion on a game, and I'm like, bitch, I didn't spend 80 hours playing a game I didn't fucking like. Like, whose opinion matters? If you're too fucking stupid to turn a game off, that's your fault. And I've seen people who get pissy about other people's opinions and stuff like that, and they're the ones who are like, I played 67 hours and didn't like the game. Go look at Steam. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at Steam reviews, and you will see people post this.
Game fucking
I played
sucks, 2,000 hours on
5,000 hours, okay game. And I'm like, what? Why? What? No one does that. No one does that. That's the type of person who's dreary, a middle-aged dude in a marriage who doesn't want to leave. That's you as a loser. Leave the game, play something better, smash your nuts, go watch Pornhub. There's got to be something better than playing a game that you don't like. It doesn't make any sense, man. And by the way, I'm not talking to him. I'm talking to, you know, the chodes out there who like can't put a game down.
That's a word I haven't heard.
Sorry. Got to bring back the chode. Got to bring back the chode.
What I find works well is if it's something that like because I've had this happen with backlog games. And I recently started doing it with Xenoblade Chronicles. I bought that during the definitive edition, and then it just kind of fell off the map. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue. And I'll give it an hour. I'll go in, and what I like to do is like I'll start. Let's say I'm playing at like 6 o'clock. If I am like looking at the clock, waiting for it to strike 7 for that hour to be over, clearly it's not worth me continuing with that game. If I just start playing and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, it's like 7:30 or it's 8. You know what? I think I'm enjoying myself enough. Let me continue this.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. So it's all about recognizing that. I mean, if you're playing Persona, you're a PlayStation player, check the PS Plus collection out. See what they've got there. They just gave away Ratchet and Clank, which is you could have beat that 3 times over in the time, which I did, and that game was phenomenal, I thought. But you know, you could beat that multiple times and get a platinum trophy and enjoy yourself that way. With like, take your Persona time that you spent not liking it, and then put it on top of other games. There's probably like 3-4 games you could have beat or played,
or
in that
just
time period.
or beat Divinity for the first time. You know,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
In that amount of time.
They'll be cutting it close.
Dude, that game is the game that like everybody loves to never beat.
I'm so close, boys. I am at the temple to become divine in Act 3, and then I'm gonna drive home Act 4. I'm beating it. I'm beating this game.
It's good. It's good stuff, man.
Which I'm glad I'm doing it now, because I know they reworked all of Act 4 or something.
Yeah, and it's probably better to do it now when there's nothing, you know, there's nothing that's going to pull you away, or not a lot that can pull you away.
Well, that's why I need to get it done, because once Monster Hunter shows up, I'm going to be a hermit, just living with my Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. I want to play Divinity again, because I'm a psychopath, but I know I want to play Baldur's Gate 3 way more, and so I'm just
that's part of it. I have a stream prepped up to try out the new Druid class, but I promised myself I would beat this first, and then I'm going to do like a once a week, because I did Baldur's Gate 3 at launch. I enjoyed it. A little buggy, but I had a blast with it. But seeing the new Druid class, especially like the Elementalist Druid spells, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Dude, this looks good.
I just want the full release, man, because I know me, and I don't want just a piece of that puzzle.
I mean, the one saving grace is they've already said that for early access, they're not putting out any more story. So they're adding content, like they added the Druid class, they've added more pacifist options, but in terms of content for early access, it's only Act 1. So, and there's a lot there. So if you just got to dip your toe in, you just need a little bit of Baldur's Gate to hold you over. I think because I can't wait to do another playthrough, because I already, seeing, like, I missed an entire companion.
Really?
I missed a whole companion. So that's an entire, branching quest line I missed. There was a bunch of areas that I just going into them, I'm like, I know there's other ways to resolve this. I pissed off an entire elven encampment of druids. To be fair,
the elf inside that cathedral underground, that shit was hard. Yeah. I remember going in.
It was hard. Anyway, I found myself not loving that game. I don't know. Baldur's Gate. What I've played of Baldur's Gate. It's not that I don't love it. It's that I think the older Baldur's Gate does stick with me a tiny bit. And there's definitely some thematic feeling that's different here. And it caused a little bit of a bump. Not a bad one. Not one that I would say would affect a rating. But it didn't call me like I was sort of hoping it would.
I think part of it's very similar to Divinity.
That you're absolutely right. No, you nailed that.
Very similar.
Yeah. Which that's the thing I love. As someone who loves Divinity, I found myself enjoying it a ton.
See, I like Divinity. It's just there's too much for me at sometimes. Sometimes I want to split it up a little bit. I just feel a little samey.
I will say
that's why I really dug Wasteland 3 because it was like Divinity but completely different.
See, I tried Wasteland 3 and I couldn't. I think part of it is I'm a bigger nerd for fantasy than I am apocalypse type stuff. Like, I'll take Skyrim over.
People
Fallout
don't get it, man.
Week.
That's a big deal. If you're fiction,
it is.
It's a big deal.
It is. I'm lucky I like both. That's the thing.
Yeah, me too.
That was my thing.
I
think
both.
Sci-fi, post-apoc, and fantasy. I'm cool with all of them, so I get lucky.
Yeah.
I'm the whore of video game fiction.
I think the thing is I need
real.
powers. I need powers, and Wasteland, it's more about your weapon. And I'm like,
you should try the brawling class. You can do combos and shit and just blow people's head off.
I don't know. I just
it's the closest you'll get. You can do a ground pound and just clear the whole field.
Yeah, but they were there. They added custom classes. There's like custom mod classes into Divinity, and oh man, it was like a whole new game. Some of the crazy shit you could do.
Yeah, that game's awesome.
Anyway,
especially polymorph archers. Anyway, off topic. All right, well that'll do it for episode 9 of Defining Duke. Cowboy, was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming.
It was good to be here, man.
Yeah, this was a great episode. We hope all of you enjoyed and stayed till the end. If you did, let us know on Twitter with the hashtag Defining Duke. All of our handles have been on screen at G27status, at Jeremy Penter, and at FightinCowboy. Just let us know what you thought of the show. Fire away in the comments, all that stuff. But with that, Cowboy, any last words, any last promotions, some send-offs?
No, man, I'm happy to be here. Maybe I'll have to. I mean, like I said, this is actually a much better time for me compared to Ham. So
this is your new home. It's not Ham anymore.
I'll come on this. I was originally an Xbox fanboy back in the day. I almost have like 100,000 gamer score. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I used to go
after for a second. I thought you were gonna say 100,000 games. I was like, what?
No, yeah. But no, I used to, but like Xbox 360. And then once you get into the content creation space, it's you have to do everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to talk Xbox again.
It is. It is very nice. We both have talked about that. It's very nice having one focus in a podcast. It's actually much easier to carry a conversation when you're thinking about just one line of games and one line of things. I really like that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, gents. Well, it's been a pleasure, and we hope the audience did enjoy. Let us know once again what you thought of this episode, whether it be on Twitter or in the comments. We're looking forward to seeing your feedback. Be sure to check out Cowboy's channel, Fighting Cowboy. Great walkthroughs, great guy. Amazing streams, too. He's the one who convinced me to move over to YouTube for my streams, so he's a great leader.
How's that been going?
I love it, man. I love it. I don't do it consistently enough, but when I do it, a lot of people show up, and that's kind of what makes me happy.
There's some stuff in the works. I can't talk too much about it, but there's some features that Twitch has that YouTube doesn't, that YouTube's gonna get.
Game changer.
Because
Twitch is on a bit of a downslope. So
yeah, Twitch has been kind of shooting themselves in the foot lately a lot.
Yeah,
that's a story for a different time.
Agreed. So we hope you all enjoyed, and we will catch you next week with episode 10 of Defining Duke. Take good care of yourselves.
Peace out.
Wasn't this episode 10?
Next week is episode 10.
I'm pretty sure you said episode 10 at the start of the podcast.
Did I?
Uh-oh.
We'll find out, I guess.
We'll find out.
We're episode 1010.